Chapter 111. Known throughout University of Rivertown, 2. Wang Xian did not sleep a wink last night. His thoughts kept him awake until 3 a.m., and he continued with his cultivation until 7 a.m. When the four of them, including Wang Xian and Wang Dehai, arrived at the canteen in the morning, Wang Xian could see people pointing fingers at him. He could even sense the gazes from people who could not wait to kill him off. "We are sworn enemies now that you've taken our goddesses away." The trio distanced him instinctively. In their words, they said, "Old Wang, you are notorious in the university now. We have to distance ourselves from you. Otherwise, it will be hard for us to find girlfriends." Wang Xian was speechless when the four of them came to the canteen to have a high-profile breakfast. Wang Xian was feeling helpless. He should not have taken lunch and dinner with the girls. When he was back in class, Wang Xian felt all eyes on him again. The envy, hatred, and jealousy coming from his male classmates annoyed him. He had 2 classes today. After his class, he went out of school instead of going to the field with Wang Dehai. "You are Wang Xian." All of a sudden, a few guys were in his way, glaring at him when he had just left the classroom building. Wang Xian froze for a while. He raised his eyebrows and looked at the people in front of him. Eventually, his eyes fixed on the student who was at the center of the group. The guy was about 185 meters tall, good-looking, and looked charming. Wang Xian knew his name. Su Qingqing, a Year 3 student. He was the president of Taekwondo Club with a 4th Dan black belt. He had also won the championship of the Rivertown Taekwondo District Competition. If it were not for age limit, his black belt Dan would be higher. In the University of Rivertown, not only the 5 goddesses were the famous ones. They had 3 rather well-known guys that were commonly known as the campus hunks or the Prince Charmings. There were several good-looking guys in the school, but only 3 of them were the official recognized Prince Charmings. Su Qingqing was one of them. Being the president of the Taekwondo Club, he enjoyed high popularity in the school. The other 2 were a famous internet celebrity and a mystery student who was known as Mr. Feng among the students. "Can I help you?" asked Wang Xian as he looked at Su Qingqing emotionlessly. "Nothing. I just want to check out what kind of guy you are, who can date 2 goddesses in a day." As Su Qingqing spoke, he circled Wang Xian and observed him from head to toe. Upon seeing his brazen behavior, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. "I don't like guys." He continued his way out after he spoke. Su Qingqing hesitated after hearing him. "You're humorous, pal." As he spoke, he stopped in front of Wang Xian and blocked his way. "Get out of my way." Wang Xian was already feeling irritated. When he saw Su Qingqing's provocative behavior, he could not help but bawl at him impatiently. "Her." When Su Qingqing heard that, his face sank as he stared at Wang Xian with cold eyes. "Lad, you're bold. How dare you speak to me like this?" "Brother Cheng, he's so arrogant. TSK. I wonder how he managed to take the 2 goddesses out." A guy walked over and said as he glared at Wang Xian. "If you have something to say, spit it out. If you don't, then get out of my way. I don't have time for you," Wang Xian said impatiently. Seeing the 4 playful and impudent guys around him, he would have given them a slap if they were not in school. How arrogant. When Su Qingqing heard what Wang Xian said, he clenched his fist slightly. "Of course, I have something for you. I just wanted to check out what ability you possess, such that you can date the 2 goddesses, in particular, Lan Qingyue. I need to see if you're worthy of them. Show me your capability or your background." While Su Qingqing was talking, he stretched his body. He looked at him with a cold smirk at his lips. "Otherwise, I'm going to embarrass you." Currently, many people were pissed off with Wang Xian, but the majority of them only expressed it on the forum. Even though some mentioned that they wanted to fight with Wang Xian, none of them really did. However, others might be afraid of doing so, but not Su Qingqing. He was one of the few guys who had wooed Lan Qingyue before, but he failed in the end, which made him a sour grape. Yesterday, Su Qingqing was surprised to hear about Lan Qingyue having dinner with a guy. He wanted to see how the guy looked. He wanted to see how this guy got into the book of Lan Qingyue. "What? Are you picking a fight?" Wang Xian stared coldly at them. "No, as a student, How can we pick a fight? This is called sparring. Come to our Taekwondo club for sparring. A smile surfaced on Su Qingqing's face again as he spoke with a casual expression. I have no time. Wang Xian had a disdainful look in his eyes. You? You want to spar with me with your Taekwondo? Haha. Wang Xian ignored him totally and walked forward again. Su Qingqing did not give way to him. Neither did Wang Xian stop. So, he went on to knock into him. Her. When Su Qingqing saw him coming, his eyes were filled with sarcasm. He moved away and stepped out of Wang Xian's way, gazing in the direction he left. Brother Cheng, this fellow is too cocky. Why don't we teach him a lesson? The three guys next to him pointed at Wang Xian and spoke as he left. Su Qingqing stared at the guy who spoke with an unpleasant look. Sorry, Brother Cheng. I forgot about it. When that guy saw Su Qingqing's displeased eyes, he quickly apologized. Su Qingqing had been a troublemaker in the school since year 1. In the beginning, the school was lenient to him since he was the champion of the Rivertown's Taekwondo district competition. Subsequently, he made frequent troubles, affecting the school's reputation. Hence, the school gave him a warning. If he continued to create trouble, he would be expelled from the school. This finally stopped him. However, it did not mean that he could not spar with others. He is arrogant, but he must be capable of being arrogant. If that's the case, I'll make sure you lose your face utterly. Su Qingqing looked at Wang Xian and let out a faint smile. Go to the school forum and issue a challenge on it. Then, Su Qingqing smiled. If he could teach Wang Xian a lesson at this time, he would gain higher popularity. At the same time, he could show Lan Qingyue that the guy she favored was totally useless. He wanted to prove that he was the best. Sure, Brother Cheng. Leave this to us. This time, we'll show him the power of our Taekwondo in the University of Rivertown. Okay. Su Qingqing nodded with confidence and walked away. Wang Xian was not even thinking about Su Qingqing as he walked to the first-grade restaurant. He needed to speed up the preparation of the medical hall and quickly get the business running. The speed of constructing the Dragon Palace would depend on the business of the medical center. However, Wang Xian did not know that the school forum was set ablaze again with the topic of him. This time, it was the challenge from Su Qingqing. Chapter 112. Known throughout University of Rivertown, 3. Director Wang, I have negotiated the terms with the boss of the shop next door. As the floor area isn't that big, the sale price would be $7 million. If you want to rent it, it will be $50,000 a month. In the office of first-grade restaurant, Manager Huang reported to Wang Xian. Try to negotiate the price down a little and buy it directly. After which, find a good interior designer for me. Inform me again when everything's done, Wang Xian said to Manager Huang. All right, Director Wang. Leave this to me. Manager Huang nodded his head. Wang Xian nodded his head. Looking at the earnings over the last few days, the earnings had remained at the level of approximately $1.5 million. Now that first-grade restaurant had basically reached its maximum capacity, it would be hard to improve on these earnings. This was because the restaurant size was fixed and the number of customers they could get each day was limited. After having lunch in the shop, Wang Xian headed back to the school. Yeah, that's Wang Xian. Look, it's him. Yeah, it's him. He's pretty good-looking. However, it's unreal that he could make two goddesses fall in love with him. Perhaps Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue weren't really interested in him and were simply having a meal with him. Did you see it? Su Qingqing said that he wants to challenge him on the school forum. He's interested to see why he is qualified to have dinner with Lan Qingyue. Really? Su Qingqing is a black belt Taekwondo expert. No one is a match for him in the entire University of Rivertown. In fact, not many people in the entire Rivertown could possibly defeat him. Challenging Wang Xian would be like toying with him. I believe Wang Xian wouldn't be that dumb to accept the challenge and spar with Su Qingqing. Su Qingqing has only said he would like to have a simple sparring with him. Sparring could be in other aspects. However, if Wang Xian did not accept, he would be a coward and be the butt of the joke in the University of Rivertown. He has to accept it. Walking on the pathway through the campus, Wang Xian could vaguely hear the discussions of the surrounding students. He frowned slightly as he walked towards his dormitory. "Old Wang, you are back?" Just as he stepped into the room, Wang Dahai immediately turned over and greeted him. There was only him in the room. Zhang Wan and Zhang Feng must be accompanying their girlfriends currently. As for Wang Dahai, it was a rare occasion that he wasn't playing games. Instead, he was staring at the computer. "Huh, did something happen again?" Wang Xian asked directly. While he was walking back, he had heard a little about it. "Old Wang, don't be angry when you see this. Su Qingcheng is being too arrogant, just because he has some strength. I despise this type of person the most." Wang Dahai rambled on. Wang Xian walked to his study desk and switched on his computer. Wang Dahai immediately brought his chair over and sat beside Wang Xian. "Old Wang, I feel that you shouldn't have to entertain this guy. One of the three Prince Charmings? Ah shucks, he's still not as incredible as our old Wang." Wang Dahai was commenting from the side, while Wang Xian clicked into the forum to take a look. One of the threads had over 9,000 replies. Once again, there was a thread that had a relatively large number of replies. Wang Xian clicked into the thread. It was created by Su Qingqing. The content of the thread was as follows. "There's a man of the hour in our school recently. Yeah, he's the second-year student, Wang Xian, who ate with two goddesses in a day. I won't be going to the details as I believe everyone would have known about this. Currently, he is given the nickname Immoral Beast, Wang Xian. Hee, that's an elegant nickname. Today, I would like to invite the Immoral Beast, Wang Xian. Oops, a slip of the tongue. Haha, I'd like to invite him to spar. I would like to see what you are capable of." Sparring is not limited to just violence. It could also be in many other aspects. Show me what you are capable of. I'm really curious. Haha, if you aren't a coward, look for me, Su Qingqing, at the Taekwondo gym. It wasn't a very long thread but fully showed how Su Qingqing had taunted Wang Xian. It was full of mockery. In the comments section, there were also a lot of people supporting the idea. Wang Xian eating with their two goddesses had ignited the anger of the majority of the male student population. It was especially clear from the pictures taken that Wang Xian was acting very intimate with Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. This further infuriated many. It's fine if you just date one of them. However, you are a scumbag for being a two-timer. Unforgivable. Wang Xian looked through the thread but kept his composure. Su Qingcheng. Wang Xian sank into deep thought. In that case, I'll just make him the example. I'll probably save myself a lot of trouble too. Wang Xian thought to himself and stood up gradually. Old Wang, where are you going?" Seeing that emotionless look, Wang Dahai quickly asked him. "To the Taekwondo club," said Wang Xian. "What? You are really thinking of going?" "Old Wang, forget it. Just forget it. That Su Qingqing is really strong. We don't have to entertain him. They are just a bunch of jealous dudes." Wang Dahai spoke immediately. He was really worried that Wang Xian would go. Su Qingqing had a black belt in Taekwondo after all. If Wang Xian went ahead and sparred with him, even if Wang Xian wasn't severely injured, he would likely be humiliated. "Relax, I wouldn't go if I was not confident." Wang Xian shook his head slightly and smiled. Wang Dahai knew Wang Xian was a little stubborn. He shook his head and said, "All right then, I'll go with you." Let's go." Wang Xian nodded his head and walked straight to the Taekwondo club. Taekwondo club was a relatively large club in the University of Rivertown. Taekwondo originated from Korea but was very popular within the country. This was because of the way of thinking of the past generations. Martial arts from the country wouldn't be imparted to external parties, let alone ancient martial arts. As for Taekwondo, Wang Xian had no comment on it. The clubs in Rivertown had their activities congregated in an area. When Wang Xian walked towards the Taekwondo club, he immediately attracted many people's attention. Isn't that the Year 2 student, Wang Xian? Could it be that he is heading to the Taekwondo club? Looking at where he is heading, he must be going to the Taekwondo club. Su Qingqing just issued him a challenge recently. Could it be that he's going there to accept it? This is interesting. Let's go. Let's follow and take a look. Wang Xian is accepting Su Qingqing's invitation. This is going to be interesting. If he chooses to fight with Su Qingqing, this will likely turn out to be tragic for him. Hurry, let's go. We can post it on the forum later, and it will definitely shock the entire school. The students along the way followed behind in excitement as they headed towards the Taekwondo club. Wang Xian didn't mind the growing crowd behind him and arrived at the entrance of the Taekwondo club. Creak. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. Walking to the door, he pushed the door open directly. The Taekwondo club had a huge room, and there were many students still wearing Taekwondo uniforms while practicing. When the door was pushed open, some members looked out inquisitively. Wang Xian stood at the entrance and swept his eyes across before walking in slowly. Get Su Qingqing over. Tell him that Wang Xian is here. Some members of the Taekwondo looked over with sarcasm. Hehe, he's here. It's time to see how our captain will torture him. Chapter 113. Known throughout University of Rivertown, 4. Sarcastic laughter was heard in the Taekwondo club. Most of the members had only mocking expressions when they saw the young man at the door. They looked relaxed as though they were watching a show. They did not regard Wang Xian highly even though he was here for the challenge. Sparring with their president was as good as getting bashed by their president. Hey lad, wait over here. I'll get our president here. A burly member gazed disdainfully at Wang Xian from head to toe. Hurry up, I'm busy. Wang Xian looked at that member before he walked impassively to a chair. How arrogant. I hope you can remain arrogant later. Seeing the impatient look on Wang Xian, that member snorted and went to the back of the club. People who had followed Wang Xian to the Taekwondo club were standing around with interest. In less than a minute, Su Qingqing appeared with 5 members behind him. All of them fixed their eyes on Wang Xian, who was sitting in the chair. Su Qingqing displayed a mocking expression on his face. He did not expect that Wang Xian would run over here. Some courage you've got. Not a coward, huh? Su Qingqing slowly walked towards Wang Xian. The way he gazed at Wang Xian was as though he was almighty. Wang Xian hated this kind of person. Self-flattering. I don't have time for you people. Su Qingqing, show me your best. I want to see if you're formidable like what others have said. Wang Xian stood up and stared at Su Qingqing. Brother Cheng, this fellow is too cocky. You don't even have to step out. I can take him on. Before Su Qingqing could say anything, the burly member spoke his mind. He stared at Wang Xian with a dismissive look as he stretched his well-built body. Wang Xian was 1.75 meters tall. He was not very tall, and he was quite skinny. As such, none of the long-time members of the Taekwondo club regarded him highly. How can you be such a bully? Su Qingqing gestured for him to shut up. He put on a smiling face and looked at Wang Xian. I've made myself clear on the forum. This is just sparring. There is no restriction to the type of martial arts used. Anything will do. Let me see the capability of this highly acclaimed character. I want to know how qualified he is to dine with Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian laughed at his words as he threw a taunting look at Su Qingqing. Save me that look. You asked me here to show off yourself. Since you want to have some fun, I'll do it with you. Let's do some sparring. The smile on Su Qingqing froze on his face when he heard what Wang Xian said. He looked coldly at Wang Xian. Fine, since you're courting your own doom, I'll grant your wish. Heh. Wang Xian looked at the sparring arena in the center of the club. With a face full of smiles, he walked towards it. Enjoy the walk. You might be carried out of this place later. Su Qingqing's cold voice came from behind him. Old Wang, are you confident? Wang Dahai, next to him, asked him with concerns. Wang Xian gave him an assuring look. They're really sparring. Hurry, let's get a good seat. Before we comment on the fight, Wang Xian is indeed courageous to begin with. Courageous, my ass. Sparring with Su Qingqing is simply looking for his own trouble. Haha, I really want to see Su Qingqing. The surrounding students were exhilarated as the two of them headed to the arena. All of them quickly circled around the arena. Brother Cheng, you don't even have to dirty your hands. This is overkill. A few guys around Su Qingqing looked at Wang Xian and said disdainfully, "It's okay. I'll not use both hands and give him some handicaps. If not, someone will think I'm a bully." Su Qingqing looked at the figure in front of him with a smiling face. An idea came to him. He looked at the few people beside him and continued, "Later, you'll go live on the forum so that all students in the University of Rivertown will know him." Live? Some of the members brightened their eyes and chuckled. "Sure, Brother Chung. Leave this to us." Going live on the forum did not mean video streaming, but more like updates using images. One of the members took his phone out and snapped a few photos of Wang Xian. Subsequently, he found a few more angles to take charming photos for Su Qingqing. He opened the school forum and drew his lips slightly while starting a new thread. Title: Who Will Kneel? Su Qingqing, the Prince Charming versus Wang Xian, the Beast with a handicap of 2 hands. He had a smirk when he looked at the headline and photos he posted. Edit. Send. Wang Xian and Su Qingqing walked into the ring, which was surrounded by hundreds of students. Many students took out their phones, ready to record this PK match. The members of the Taekwondo club were spectating the match with ease. They were waiting for their president to abuse his target. "You still turn up despite knowing you'll lose. Lad, you aren't really that lousy." Su Qingqing stood around casually in his white Taekwondo robe, criticizing Wang Xian. It was as if a teacher was reviewing a student. "Why not this? I'll not use either of my hands." Su Qingqing went on. He placed his hands behind his back, protruding the black belt on his waist. This symbolized his strength. Wow, Senior Su Qingqing is simply too cool. Such generosity by not using his hands. Prince Charming Su Qingqing is too domineering. This is the stance that a powerhouse should adopt. Comparing him to Wang Xian is just an evil clown. The students outside of the ring were deeply impressed by Su Qingqing. He was looking mighty with his hands behind his back. The member who was posting on the forum took a few snapshots excitedly. His caption was written as the look of a winner. "Wow, that Wang Xian accepted the challenge from Senior Su Qingqing. Ah, I'm in the dormitory now. I wonder if I can still make it to watch how Senior Su Qingqing knocks out Wang Xian with a kick." Su Qingqing already gave him the leeway by not using his hands. Wang Xian will be embarrassed if he can't even block 10 strokes from him. Thread owner, please update soon. We want to see the photos of how Beast Wang Xian was beaten to a pulp. You must take more photos. There were more than hundreds of replies below the thread that was started not long ago. The excitement was all over that member's face. "I'll let you start first." Just then, Su Qingqing's voice was heard from the ring again. He tilted his head slightly and sneered at him. "Do it. This is your only chance to strike." Haha. "President, let's not talk about giving him a 2-hands handicap. Even if you use just your leg, you can also send him flying with a kick." Confident and sarcastic voices came from a group of Taekwondo members outside the ring. Chapter 114. Known throughout University of Rivertown, 5. Su Qingqing, why are you kicking up a fuss? In the Taekwondo club, just as Wang Xian was about to cripple this arrogant guy with a slap, a loud roar pierced through the atmosphere. The surrounding crowd, who was ready for a show, turned around and looked in shock. All they saw was a middle-aged man in a Taekwondo suit rushing over. He had the same black belt over his waist and looked worried. "Coach! Coach!" The members of the club quickly greeted despite being surprised by the middle-aged man. The middle-aged coach wasn't bothered and walked up to the ring with a heavy expression. His gaze swept past Wang Xian and his heart palpitated rapidly, after which he turned to his student and stared angrily at him. "Coach, why are you here?" Su Qingqing was startled to see his coach. "If I didn't come, would you expect me to accept your action silently?" Yanhu was furious and gave Su Qingqing a harsh stare. He took a deep breath and walked towards Wang Xian. "I'm sorry, Wang Xian. My student couldn't tell what's good for him and has offended you. I'll teach him a lesson personally." The middle-aged coach spoke with great respect. He didn't know much about Wang Xian, but he knew that Wang Xian was a person that even Director Sun, had to show great respect to from the incident on that night. Director Sun was a friend of a higher social status that he got into contact with by coincidence. On that night, Director Sun had also invited him. Therefore, he knew what had happened in the bar. After that incident, he heard some information from Director Sunday. This young man wasn't from a family with a strong background, but was one with truly incredible strength. This strength was referring to human strength. As a 9th Dan Taekwondo expert who had reached the epitome of Taekwondo, his battle prowess was extraordinary. Even so, he also knew some things that ordinary people didn't. That was none other than ancient martial arts. Against ancient martial arts, the Taekwondo that he practiced was no more than playing house. At this moment, this student of his had offended such an expert. He must be truly eager to die. The other party could even kill you before anyone noticed it. Wang Xian looked at this middle-aged coach with doubts. Yin Hu saw his puzzled looks and immediately explained. Hi, student. You might not recognize me, but I was lucky to have met you at the bar that night. I'm a friend of Director Sunday. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked to Su Qingcheng. Su Qingcheng, apologize now. Seeing that Wang Xian had turned to Su Qingcheng, Yin Hu quickly shouted. Coach, you. Su Qingcheng looked at his coach in disbelief. He couldn't understand why his teacher would be chiding him or why his coach would apologize to the other party. Moreover, he was even doing so with great respect. One should know that his coach was a 9th Dan black belt and had even clinched the title of the National Taekwondo Champion. It was also because of the teachings of his incredible coach that he managed to achieve what he had today. Apologize. To challenge young Master Wang with your strength, are you courting a beating? Even I am not a match for young Master Wang. Do you think you would be? If I hadn't seen the thread in the school forum by coincidence, I wouldn't have known that you were so brazen. Yin Hu chided Su Qingcheng angrily. What? Su Qingcheng's eyes stared wide open and looked at his own coach in disbelief. What did I just hear? Coach said that he isn't a match for him? How can this be? My coach is a 9th Dan black belt. Are you turning a deaf ear to what I've said? Yin Hu looked at him and continued. Seeing his coach's expression, Su Qingcheng looked around unwilling and said with a blushing face, I'm sorry. He didn't dare to defy his coach's words, and his coach wouldn't lie to him. However, he still couldn't understand why his coach wouldn't be a match for Wang Xian. What just happened? The surrounding crowd looked at the sudden twist in development in disbelief. They had all believed that Su Qingcheng would give Wang Xian a painful lesson. However, before their fight even started, Coach Yin Hu suddenly rushed over. Coach Yin Hu was a pretty well-known figure in the University of Rivertown. He had taken on over 10 street ruffians by himself when they came to school to cause trouble. It was also because of that incident that Coach Yin Hu shot to stardom and made the Taekwondo Club the hottest student club in the University of Rivertown. And now, Coach Yin actually apologized to Wang Xian and even claimed that he wasn't a match for Wang Xian. Everyone was astonished. It was especially so for the members of the Taekwondo Club. They were puzzled over Coach Yin Hu's words. However, since they were from Coach Yin Hu, they had no reason to doubt the authenticity of them. In the crowd, those students, who had come over to watch a show, looked towards the Taekwondo Club members. Some of them were shocked, but there were also some who looked at the members with mockery. Just a while ago, they had seen their disdainful looks on Wang Xian. And now, their coach ran out to apologize and even made Su Qingcheng do the same. Major twist of events. Wang Xian hadn't even moved a finger, and the outcome of this matter had been clear as crystal. The Taekwondo Club members sensed the gazes from the surrounding crowd, and their faces turned a little red from embarrassment. As for that student who was using his phone to update the situation on the thread, he stood there in complete shock. Seeing that there were still students constantly replying, his face sank. What should I do now? Continue to update? Am I supposed to say that the sparring did not happen because their coach arrived? That he even apologized to Wang Xian and stated that he wasn't a match for Wang Xian? That he is here to reprimand Su Qingcheng for being brazen and courting death, and even made Su Qingcheng apologize? If I send this out, Su Qingcheng will be completely embarrassed. How could he even lift his head in front of Wang Xian in the future? However, even if I don't post, those students who were here to witness would also spread this out. Damn. At this moment, he suddenly saw someone had updated the situation on his behalf in the thread he had started. Picture after picture, and word after word. Just as the two of them were about to fight, Coach Yin rushed over and apologized to Wang Xian personally. He even claimed to not be a match for the other party. Coach Yin made Su Qingqing apologize, and Su Qingqing did so with a flushing red face. Those Taekwondo club members, who were mocking Wang Xian previously, just got a tight slap to their faces. If their coach isn't a match for Wang Xian, how are they qualified to mock him? The updates continued and many had pictures attached. That student blacked out. He couldn't hide it. This incident couldn't be hidden anymore. I'm sorry, Wang Xian. I'm sorry. At this moment, in the ring, Coach Yin brought Su Qingqing over, bowed and apologized. This action stunned the crowd once again. Wang Xian frowned upon seeing their actions. He didn't say another word and headed for the exit. Behind him, Wang Dahai followed behind excitedly. Even he had not expected things to have developed in such a manner. Wang Xian strolled towards the exit under the gaze of the crowd. When he reached the exit, he suddenly stopped. He lifted his head and saw a signboard 3 meters above the door. On the signboard were 2 words, Taekwondo Club. He smirked. Coach Yin had rushed over to apologize to him personally. He was a coach and was acting respectfully towards Wang Xian. This made it hard for Wang Xian to press on the matter. However, he wasn't pleased with Su Qingqing and the club members. When he walked in, they were all looking at him with despisement. Taekwondo Club, Wang Xian smirked. To the astonishment of the crowd, he jumped lightly and smashed violently at the signboard with a kick. Bam! Shattered. Chapter 115. Known throughout University of Rivertown, 6. Nobody was expecting such an end. Su Qingqing bowed and apologized to Wang Xian, who was invited for sparring, even though they did not fight. Even Coach Yin, who said he was not a match for Wang Xian. He even made a respectful apology to him. How strong is Wang Xian? How domineering is he? Did you see how Wang Xian leaped 2 meters high when he left the Taekwondo club? He smashed the signboard with just a kick. That was an outright slap to their faces. Su Qingqing shamed himself much this time. He and the entire Taekwondo club's members mocked Wang Xian just now. Now, they couldn't even make a sound when Wang Xian smashed their signboard. What a shame. Su Qingqing will have to avoid Wang Xian at all costs in the future. Breaking opening with a dramatic ending. Naughty Su Qingqing challenged Wang Xian, but his father-like Coach Yin who slapped him awake and got him to apologize. How interesting. I wonder how formidable Wang Xian is such that even Coach Yin who admitted that he was not a match. Moreover, from the way Wang Xian smashed the signboard when he left, I could tell that he's superb. The school forum erupted into commotion again. Incidents involving Wang Xian had become more captivating in the last 2 days. The thread that was posted by the member of the Taekwondo club had more than 10,000 replies. Since this incident involved Wang Xian and Su Qingqing, the Prince Charming, it was expected to draw all the students' attention in the school. Power, old Wang. You're simply too domineering. Wang Dahai said to Wang Xian with a face full of admiration when they were on their way. Wang Xian had arrived at the Taekwondo club and confronted everyone with composure. Even when he smashed the signboard with a kick, he looked incredibly cool. No wonder both Guan Shuqing and Lan Qinghua goddesses fancy you. I'm also beginning to like you, old Wang. Get lost. I have no interest in you. Wang Xian peered at him. Continue to look for your sister, Su Qian. Hee, there's no need to since we've been keeping contact for the past 2 days. Now, you stirred such a commotion. I'm sure Su Qian will be curious and find out things from me. Wang Dahai spoke with some pride. He could sense love on its way. Wang Xian shook his head without any words. I will be busy for the next few days. Apply for leave from the counselor on my behalf. If you send beverages to Su Qian every day, remember to give one to my sister too. Leave? Old Wang, what are you busy with? Wang Dahai was slightly stunned as he asked doubtfully. I have something to attend to. It should take about 1 or 2 weeks, Wang Xian replied. He was going to use these few days to search the entire Bohai Sea for any resources that could be tapped, like a sinking ship. In addition, he also needed to proceed with the medical hall. Wang Xian did not mind if this delayed his studies now. The school was not important to him anymore. He would have dropped out of school if his sister did not report to school, so he had to keep her company for a while. All he wanted to pursue was the starry sky and the ocean. All right, old Wang. Don't worry about your sister. Leave her in my hands. Wang Dahai patted his chest. He understood that Wang Xian was now undergoing tremendous changes. As a buddy, he did not probe further as long as his buddy was doing well. Get lost. What do you mean by leaving her in your hands? I'm just going away for a few days. Wang Dahai patted hard on Wang Dahai's shoulder. Stop it, old Wang. Stop it. You're so formidable now. All my fault. My fault. Wang Dahai screamed immediately and briskly walked to the dormitory. Wang Xian chuckled and followed behind him. After 4 to 5 hours of propagation, almost all the students knew about the incident on the school forum. When Wang Xian walked along the path in school in the afternoon, many people continued to point and gossip about him. What made the difference was the curiosity and respect in the eyes of many. The sarcasm, disdain, and even jealousy in the looks was not as much as before. Wang Xian came to the office to apply for a week's leave from the counselor. Wang Xian managed to do so after answering all the curious questions from the counselor. He paused and took out his phone to send a message to Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue after he walked out of the office. He told both of them that he would be away for 2 days, and he might be uncontactable. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian mumbled the 2 names and shook his head. If he had to choose either one of them now, he probably will pick Guan Shuqing. These past few days, Guan Shuqing had been using her free time to settle some of the accounts of the first-grade restaurant. She was a girl who had no complaints about her work, and she was poor in expressing herself. Wang Xian liked her because he felt comfortable with her. Guan Shuqing was listening attentively to the teacher in her class. When the phone buzzed, she froze slightly when she read Wang Xian's message. She knew what had happened during the past few days, just like she knew that Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue went out for dinner. Yet, she did not comment on anything, nor did she question him either. Guan Shuqing felt that her silent effort would eventually pay off. That was her character, and she believed Wang Xian liked her. Take care, and let me know once you're back, Guan Shuqing replied. Sure. Wang Xian felt a heartwarming feeling when he saw Guan Shuqing's reply. Buzz. At the same time, his phone buzzed again with the arrival of Lan Qingyue's message. Is there anything I can do to help? I've brought you enough troubles for the past 2 days. No, I'm just going to be busy for the next 2 days. Just letting you know beforehand, as there might be no signal then. Lan Qingyue's reply was totally different from Guan Shuqing's. Back at the office building in the city center, Lan Qingyue was sitting in front of her computer in her formal attire. She was frowning when she looked at Wang Xian's message. She knew what had happened during these 2 days in school. Was it me who made him feel irritated? Hence he? Lan Qingyue was thinking a little too much. She bit her lips. Blame it on those people who love to gossip in school. She took a deep breath and logged into the school forum. Since she was the vice chairman of the student council, all the students knew her forum ID. Create post. 1. I hope everyone will stop discussing Xiao Xian and me. 2. Whatever that happened between Xiao Xian, Guan Shuqing and I is only between us. I hope no one will make any wild guesses or even slanderings. 3. Fair competition. After Lan Qingyue wrote 3 lines, she posted out immediately. She was in a daze when she looked at the thread that was posted out. She thought she should not have brought troubles to Wang Xian. At the same time, she would not give up. Even though she might get hurt in the end, all she wanted was a fair competition. Chapter 116, Water Monkey. Wang Xian rode his heavy-duty motorcycle from the school. What he didn't know was that his name had once again caused an uproar in the school forum. A thread from Lan Qingyue had made Wang Xian's name known throughout the University of Rivertown. As for Wang Xian, his name had truly spread to the entire University of Rivertown. Everyone would know about him and hear about him. He had captured the hearts of two goddesses and even made Lan Qingyue made the comment on fair competition. This made all the male students spit out a mouthful of blood. Why? Why isn't it me whom the goddess has fallen in love with? If I was the one, you wouldn't have to compete with anyone. Wang Xian's name was even known by the new batch of Year 1 students. Xiao was naturally thrilled to see two goddess-level beauties pursue her brother and was trying to find out more about Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. She would like to know which sister-in-law would be better. However, what she got was the same two words, perfect goddess. After riding his motorcycle to the seaside, Wang Xian walked towards the forefront of a fish farm. There was a vessel that was parking by the side. Dragon King. On the vessel, the four Dragonians immediately greeted with great respect the moment they saw Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head and boarded the vessel. The vessel spanned approximately 40 meters. It wasn't huge and wasn't a luxury yacht. It was simply a shipping vessel used for transportation. The vessel moved quickly and soon they arrived at the deserted island in the middle of the seas. At this moment, there were over 1,000 people constructing on the island. When the construction was completed, Dragon Sect would enter the ranks of the ancient martial artist families and make its name known throughout the country. Wang Xian alighted at the island and observed the surroundings. Has the Dragon Sect platform been built? Wang Xian asked the Dragonian beside him. Yes, it's completed, Dragon King. The Dragonian immediately replied. Great. Wang Xian nodded his head. Dragon Sect platform was similar to the General's conferment platform of ancient times. To put it simply, it would be similar to a jetty. However, this jetty wasn't for ships to park, but for the subordinates of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian arrived at the location of the Dragon Sect platform. The location was a deserted area of the island and spanned over a kilometer. It was built from concrete and extended towards the sea. At the middle of it was a platform with 3 words written in ancient style, Dragon Sect platform. Wang Xian stood on it and looked to the sea. With just a thought, he spread his dragon power towards the surroundings. In less than 2 minutes, a giant clam appeared at the surface of the sea in front of the Dragon Sect platform. Dragon King. The clam opened and Roving Girl appeared on the sea surface. Around her, the waters were circulating. She has a figure similar to a human and greeted Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly and didn't say a word. In less than 5 minutes, a golden lobster-like organism surfaced from beneath the water in front of the Dragon Sect platform. It stood on the surface of the water and had a pair of giant golden claws that had the glow of metal. The golden metallic exterior shimmered under the sunlight. It bowed and greeted with great respect, Dragon King. It was none other than Roving Lobster of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian nodded his head and still didn't say a word. At this moment, the waters in front of the Dragon Sect platform started moving violently and caused huge waves. A ginormous object that spanned approximately 10 meters emerged from the seas. Dragon King. The giant animal lifted his dull yellow head and greeted Wang Xian. It was none other than Prime Minister Turtle of the Dragon Palace. The 3 marine animals floated on the surface of the seas. Any one of them, if discovered by a human, would have caused a huge uproar. Wang Xian stood on the Dragon Sect platform and looked down on his 3 subordinates. Prime Minister Turtle, Level 11. Art of Cultivation, Earth Dragon Transformation, Superpower, Ability to control turtle race whose level is lower than own existing level, Control Earth. Roving Lobster, Level 8. Art of Cultivation, Metal Dragon Transformation, Superpower, Ability to control lobster race whose level is lower than own existing level, Control Metal. Roving Girl, Level 9. Art of Cultivation, Water Dragon Transformation, Superpower, Ability to control clam race whose level is lower than own existing level, Control Water. Dragon King. The 3 marine animals exchanged gazes before greeting in unison. Currently, the three of you are the only members of our dragon palace. I will require more marine animals. Besides that, I've got to look for material to build the dragon palace. Today, I've summoned the three of you to follow me to search the entire Bohai Sea. Wang Xian stood on the dragon sect platform, which looked just like the general's conferment platform of ancient times, and spoke to Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Girl, and Roving Lobster. He was satisfied with their current strength. The group had practiced divine dragon transformation, and their strength had increased very quickly. The strongest, Prime Minister Turtle, had already attained the level above the inborn state, a level above his former stage. Yes, Dragon King, Roving Girl, Roving Lobster, and Prime Minister Turtle answered immediately. Wang Xian nodded his head. Although he had only 3 subordinates at this moment, he hoped that there would be a day where he stood on the Dragon Sect platform in front of tens of millions of Dragon Palace members. He also believed that the day would come sooner than later. Let's go. Wang Xian jumped into the skies and turned into a 5-colored divine dragon. Growl. A soft dragon roar propagated through the atmosphere. The 5 meters long Wang Xian dove into the seas directly. Swaying his body, he led the group. Roving Girl and Roving Lobster immediately swam to his left and right while Prime Minister Turtle stayed behind Wang Xian. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle remarked. What's the matter? Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle with doubt. Dragon King, if you're looking to get more subordinates, I know of such a place. Prime Minister Turtle spoke slowly after thinking about the matter. Oh, where would that be? What kind of marine animals are there? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Turtle inquisitively. A group of water monkeys. I remember encountering them at a location near the seas. They lived in a group, had pairs of sharp claws, and were annoying. Prime Minister Turtle replied. Water monkeys? Wang Xian was taken aback and sank into thought. He had heard of water monkeys previously. They were similar to apes and were referred to as water spirits by the civilians. Water monkeys looked horrifying and had hair all over their bodies. They also had tremendous brute strength. Are the water monkeys Prime Minister Turtle has mentioned similar to those in folklore? Wang Xian thought to himself. He turned to Prime Minister Turtle and instructed, lead the way. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. He sank to the seabed and executed his Earth control superpower. Under the propulsion of the Earth, the speed of Prime Minister Turtle was unbelievably fast. Roving Girl and Roving Lobster couldn't keep up with him at all. Prime Minister Turtle is still the more competent member. Not only has it lived for several thousands of years, but it also has a better understanding of the surroundings. Moreover, it is also stronger. Wang Xian was very satisfied with Prime Minister Turtle. Perhaps Prime Minister Turtle could truly be competent enough to take on the responsibilities as the Chamberlain of the Dragon Palace. Bohai Sea. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Turtle, they swam approximately 100 kilometers. Along the way, they met a few schools of small fish, but Wang Xian ignored them. Dragon King. They are right ahead. Prime Minister Turtle looked ahead and said. Wang Xian turned his attention forward. This piece of sea region had complicated landforms. The underwater mountains were closely packed. Their peaks were also just a few meters from the surface of the water. The entire region looked gloomy as though even sunlight couldn't shine through. Wang Xian jerked his head and looked to his right. In that direction, there was an emaciated organism of approximately 1.5 meters which had red eyes. It stood at the peak of one of the mountains and was staring at them. Chapter 117. The Destructive Devil Monkey. Jagged peaks of seamounts jutted out from the seabed in the dark. A pair of bloodshot eyes were exceptionally obvious in the sea as it hugged the tips of the peaks with a hideous and horrifying expression. A pair of sharp fangs were exposed from its mouth, with its entire body covered with fur. Wang Xian stared at the water monkey, and the monkey did the same too. Devil Monkey, Level 5. Extractable Dragon Energy, 544. Devil Monkey? Wang Xian was taken aback as he read the information about the water monkey. A water monkey, standing at 1.5 5 meters tall, had level 5 strength, which was even more dominating than sharks. Wang Xian rocked his body and swam towards the devil monkey. Zizi, zizi. The devil monkey screeched the moment it saw Wang Xian approaching. Wang Xian could vaguely hear the message it was trying to convey. Get out of here. The devil monkey told them to get lost. Monkey's IQ is relatively high. Indeed, a mere level 5 devil monkey already has spiritual intelligence. Not bad. Wang Xian's eyes brightened up while displaying his imposing disposition. Roar. With a soft dragon growl, the dragon power enveloped the devil monkey immediately. As a divine dragon, his dragon power could subdue all creatures lower than his level. Now, he was already in level 6. He could subdue all creatures below level 6. Zizi, zizi. The devil monkey was petrified. It let out a frightful scream and hugged the seamount peak with uneasiness. Submit to me. Wang Xian yelled softly as the dragon power encompassed the devil monkey. Zizi. Just then, the devil monkey hugged its head in pain. It looked up and let out a sharp screeching sound. The sound traveled far, far away. Bad news, Dragon King. It is trying to summon all other water monkeys here. Upon hearing the sharp shriek, the Prime Minister Turtle behind him had a change in expression. He quickly reminded Wang Xian. Wang Xian knit his eyebrows slightly. How many water monkeys are there? He gazed at the dark waters. The area seemed to span to 12 kilometers away. Just when Wang Xian finished his question, he suddenly noticed more and more bright red eyes appearing in front of him. These devil monkeys jumped and leaped around the jagged peaks on the seabed, just like a great army that exuded ferocious devilish aura. The sharp claws dug into the peaks as they leaped towards them. So many of them. Wang Xian stared at the mighty devil monkeys ahead of him as he was looking shocked. At least 1,000 devil monkeys were glaring at them coldly. Apart from level 5, there are devil monkeys in level 6 and 7. Wang Xian swept his gaze across all the devil monkeys. At the same time, their information appeared in his mind too. Zizi, tear them apart. At this time, a sharp cry was heard. Wang Xian looked over immediately. Right in the middle, a devil monkey of 3 meters tall with a burly body squatted on one of the peaks as it let out a roar. Zizi, 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 zizi. The devil monkeys around it reciprocated with high-pitched cries too. The sound of it was extremely sharp even in the water. One by one, the monkeys leaped and attacked with sharp claws, honed fangs, and agile movements. Courting your own doom. Upon seeing the charging bunch of devil monkeys, Wang Xian fired his imposing dragon power and encompassed them. All the devil monkeys below level 6 were shuddering and did not dare to move at all. He stretched out his metal dragon claws at the nearest level 7 devil monkey. Courting your own doom. Submit to me or die. The Prime Minister Turtle let out a cold ball. His body was close to the ground as he swept up a massive amount of earth and stones at the dozens of devil monkeys. Surrender. Roving Girl was standing behind. The ocean in front of her swirled and turned into gushes of water currents, which she used to attack the devil monkeys. Kaka, die. Roving Lobster raised his pair of gigantic claws and attacked them, tearing you apart. The level 7 devil monkey was not afraid of Wang Xian's incoming attack. With a pair of sharp claws, it reached out to Wang Xian's head. Since you are disobedient, I'll bash all of you up till you surrender. With a swing, Wang Xian's dragon claws confronted the devil monkey's claw. The metal dragon claws, accompanied by a tearing sound, turned the entire sea in front of him into a vacuum. SSS. As the dragon claws struck across, the level 7 devil monkey was torn into two. Wang Xian opened his mouth and swallowed it up. At the bottom of the sea, the Prime Minister Turtle acted like a stone mountain. Pieces of hard soil blocks around him were thrown at the dozens of monkeys in front of him. Bam! The massive amount of soil blocks hurled the monkeys against the peaks behind them. On the right, the roving girl was controlling the water as she bound 4 monkeys with it. The water current strangled their necks to death. On the left, the roving lobster was surrounded by 8 monkeys. All of them were quick-moving as they struck their claws occasionally at the roving lobster. But the roving lobster had a body of metal. The claws of the devil monkeys were only able to leave a few marks on his body. When the roving lobster expanded his pair of claws, the claws were so sharp that he could snap the devil monkeys into 2 once he caught hold of them. Practicing the divine dragon transformation had allowed them to battle with strengths that were beyond their levels. For a moment, thousands of devil monkeys were entirely suppressed by them. In less than 20 seconds, they had killed hundreds of devil monkeys. "Submit to me, or else I'll exterminate all of you." On seeing the dauntless devil monkeys, the color of Wang Xian's body changed violently. Eventually, it stopped at the fiery red color. As the Inferno Divine Dragon made his appearance, the seawater around him began to seethe. Wang Xian opened his mouth, and a fiery red Dragon Ball appeared inside it. After his nurturing, the current Dragon Ball was even more formidable than before. The combined power of the Inferno Divine Dragon and the Fire Dragon Ball doubled. Roar! The dragon roar echoed throughout the waters. He opened his mouth and wrapped the Dragon Ball with immense flames. With the Dragon Ball, he lurched forward to attack. Boom! The boiling waters were rapidly evaporating as the power of the flame from the Dragon Ball was dominating. Bam! The monkeys let out painful cries as the Dragon Ball swept across hundreds of meters ahead. Some of the weaker ones were incinerated. Bam! The Dragon Ball eventually landed on a small peak, crushing the tip of it. One could see a fiery zone with various types of fish within the 1,000 meters, killed under such high temperature outside the sea. Surrender! Wang Xian bellowed angrily once again with his roar resounding through the world. The path to becoming the strongest was built on blood and flesh. Hence, Wang Xian did not have the slightest bit of pity for killing all these devil monkeys. It was his destiny to blaze his way through all obstacles. Blood and flesh paved the way to the peak. Boom! How dare you kill my younger generations? Go and die. Just then, a seamount peak was split open as a fierce cry was heard. A devil monkey of a size of 5 meters came into sight. It was burly and muscular, glaring at them with a pair of bloodshot eyes. Evil aura lingered around it as it held a 7 meters long metal rod in its hand. Like a destructive devil monkey. Chapter 118. 9 Divisions of the Divine Dragon. Devil Monkey King, Level 10. Extractable Dragon Energy, 201,231. It's Level 10 and its extractable Dragon Energy is over 200,000. This Devil Monkey King is really formidable. In fact, he is almost as strong as me. Wang Xian looked at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and had a solemn look. His current level was 6, but in his Divine Dragon form, he could go beyond his level and challenge level 11 animals. However, that was applicable to ordinary animals. For some level 11 animals, they were able to fight beyond their level and slay level 12 existences. Although the Devil Monkey King was level 10, the aura it was emitting would easily match a level 11 animal. The Devil Monkey King stood on the peak of the mountain that it had sliced off. An unknown metal rod that was about 7 meters long was resting on his shoulders as he looked down on Wang Xian with contempt. That looks. Wang Xian stared at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and recalled a character in a popular novel, The Great Sage Equaling Heaven, Sun Wukong. They both had the disposition of being the one above all, and both of them used rods as weapons. Surrender or die. Wang Xian wasn't wary at all. The other party wasn't the Great Sage Equaling Heaven, and he wasn't the Dragon King of the East Seas from the popular novel. 2. How dare you kill my disciples and followers? I'm going to slaughter you. The Devil Monkey King held the rod in his hands tightly, and his blood-red eyes were filled with black gas. Water monkeys. If you aren't willing to submit to the Dragon King, I'll kill every single one of you. Prime Minister Turtle lifted his huge head as it started emitting a dull yellow aura. Around him, the earth started churning. His huge body was also emitting a heavy atmosphere. Prime Minister Turtle's strength wouldn't be weaker than the Devil Monkey King. In fact, he might even be stronger. ZZ, the Devil Monkey King gripped onto his rod tightly and gritted his teeth as he looked at the Prime Minister Turtle. He then turned his attention to Wang Xian. A tinge of fear flashed past his eyes. You've got to defeat me to make me surrender. Otherwise. As the Devil Monkey King spoke, he started manipulating the rod in his hand. Letting out a roar, he continued, otherwise, I won't be convinced. Great, I'll make you submit to me. Wang Xian stared at the Devil Monkey King. The intelligence of this Devil Monkey King was terrifyingly high. If he could make it a general under him, it would definitely become an important general in the future. If you want me to submit, show me your strength. Otherwise, get out of my region, and I forbid you from entering in the future. The devilish aura on the Devil Monkey King started raging, and the water around him started turning black. Sure, Wang Xian agreed. Only by completely defeating this obstinate and unruly Devil Monkey King would it be convinced. Otherwise, it would likely choose death over surrender. Wang Xian waved his dragon claws as the metal claws gave off a metallic glow. Charging ahead, he attacked the Devil Monkey King directly. Come to me. The Devil Monkey King moved like the demonic shadow and was surprisingly faster than Wang Xian. Lifting the rod in his hands, he smashed ruthlessly at Wang Xian's head. What incredible speed! Astonishment flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. He swayed his tails, and the seawater around him started getting denser. With him as the center, the area of 100 meters around him seemed to have been turned into a swamp. Water control? ZZ. Huh. The Devil Monkey King could sense the immense increase in resistance. The devilish flames on him exploded as he forced open a free area. Space-shattering metal dragon claws. The dragon claws that were glowing slashed towards the Devil Monkey King. The devilish aura around the Devil Monkey King was shredded immediately, and 18 golden marks fell onto the Devil Monkey King's body. ZZ. Roar. Deep cuts appeared on the body of the Devil Monkey King all of a sudden. However, what was creepy was that the Devil Monkey King wasn't bleeding. Instead, dense black gases started flowing out. It lifted its head and growled. Strong and dense dark aura started emitting from the rod in his hands as the Devil Monkey King swung towards Wang Xian. Earth Dragon's Imperial Guard. Wang Xian could sense the powers of the incoming attack and was shocked. He immediately started emitting dull yellow earth energy around his body. Bam! The black rod smashed onto Wang Xian's body directly. His body shook and the dense earth energy dissipated, leaving behind a mark. SSS. Wang Xian gasped as he felt the excruciating pain from his body. The impact of the attack had numbed his entire body. After he flushed his body with what attributes energy, his injuries recovered rapidly. However, taking on this attack had made him exhaust substantial stamina. Even if your devilish flames could blaze the skies, I'd still defeat you today. Wang Xian swayed his tail. The surrounding waters moved as though they had a will and became extremely dense. Wang Xian stared at the Devil Monkey King in front of him and opened his mouth slightly. The Dragon Ball was spat out once again. This time, the Dragon Ball was wrapped in a layer of water and illuminated the surrounding sea. The Devil Monkey King looked solemnly at Wang Xian. His wounds were still emitting a black gas, and this was proof that his injuries weren't light. The Devil Monkey King clenched his hands tightly around the rod. It's over. Wang Xian extended out his palm and was rotating the Dragon Ball with water control. He stretched his dragon claws forward before slashing down. The Devil Monkey King was shocked. The dense water around him had slowed him down substantially. In fact, his current speed was slower than Wang Xian. If it couldn't dodge, it could only take it head-on, directly. It lifted the rod in its hands, clenched it tightly with both hands and roared, "Take this? I'd like to see how tough your rod is." Wang Xian maintained a poker face. The Dragon Ball started rotating even more violently in the middle of his dragon claw as the golden-colored dragon claws ripped apart space. Bam! When the dragon claw and the dragon ball collided with the metal rod, the water around the dragon ball dissipated and the dragon ball emitted horrifying heat. Arg! The flames of the dragon ball started flaking off. At the same time, Wang Xian opened his mouth and spewed out flames that covered several hundreds of meters. The flames raged on as they started overpowering the devilish aura on the Devil Monkey King. Arg! 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 A heart-wrenching scream sounded. It was as though the monkey was placed in a furnace. I'm willing to submit, the Devil Monkey King shouted loudly. Wang Xian opened his mouth once again and devoured the dragon ball with the flames. The Devil Monkey King lay on the floor, feeling completely drained. The seawater that was vaporized by the flames gushed in once again. Waving his dragon claw, a 5-colored blood essence flew towards the Devil Monkey King. Absorb it and don't resist it, Wang Xian shouted. Yes, I, the Monkey King, am willing to submit. The Devil Monkey King lifted his head and got up with the help of its rod. It was still panting violently. Although the battle wasn't long, it was perilous. The Devil Monkey King had not practiced any cultivation arts and had lost. Ding! Conquered Devil Monkey King. The notification of the system sounded. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. Waving his dragon claw again, he injected dragon energy into the body of the Devil Monkey King to heal its injuries. Thank you, Dragon King. The Devil Monkey King kneeled down on one knee and spoke with great respect to Wang Xian. I'll form the 9 divisions of the Divine Dragon in the future. Today, I shall bestow upon you the name of Roving Heavens and place you in charge of the Devil Division. Order your subordinates to come over. Wang Xian imparted the cultivation arts of Devil Dragon Transformation to Devil Monkey King. Thank you, Dragon King. The Devil Monkey King went down on both knees and felt overwhelmed. Gather your subordinates, Wang Xian instructed. Divine Dragon Transformation consisted of 9 different Divine Dragon cultivation arts. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, and darkness. These were the 9 different cultivation arts under the Divine Dragon Transformation. Wang Xian was preparing to establish 9 battle divisions of the Dragon Palace to fight in wars for him. Devil belonged to darkness. In the future, the Devil Monkey King would be in charge of the Devil Division. Chapter 119, Devil Flowers. Dragon King. Wang Xian stood on the summit of a mountain in the dark and gloomy sea. He was pleased with the bunch of devil monkeys before him. Roving Heavens knelt in the center while holding onto his unknown metal rod. The rod was so hard that it was beyond Wang Xian's imagination. During the combat just now, Wang Xian's claw and Dragon Ball did not do any harm to it at all. Divine dragons did not need to fight with celestial weapons. The only celestial weapon that he had was the Dragon Ball. Hence, divine dragons did not know how to make weapons. But in the list of dragon palaces constructing materials, there was a pillar known as the Dinghai Divine Rod. Dinghai Divine Rod not only made a strong pillar, but it could also be used as a weapon. When Roving Heavens refined the rod in his hand to Dinghai Divine Rod, his combat power would be extremely domineering in the future. Wang Xian could already imagine the imposing fighting demeanor of a devil monkey blazing in devilish flames with a Dinghai Divine Rod. Behind Roving Heavens stood a bunch of devil monkeys. Among these monkeys, there was only one level 9, which is the highest level among all. The rest were level 8 and below, while most of them were level 5. There was a total number of 800 monkeys. All the devil monkeys bowed on the seafloor respectfully as they worshipped their new king. The devil monkeys were born with intelligence. As they cultivated, their intelligence would improve. Wang Xian did not need to activate their spiritual intelligence at all. He swung his arm and drops of blood essence entered the devil monkeys. Subsequently, he imparted the divine dragon transformation to all the monkeys. Consuming more than 800 drops of blood essence in one go had no impact on Wang Xian. Blood essence was related to dragon energy. He could use dragon energy to restore his blood essence. Thank you, Dragon King. The bunch of devil monkeys thanked him in synchronized voices. Roving heavens, you'll lead them from now on. Get them to do their cultivation and listen to your orders. All of you will be part of the first division, Devil Division of the Dragon Palace, said Wang Xian to Roving Heavens. Yes, Dragon King, everyone replied loudly. Let's go. Follow me for a search of the nearby waters. We need to find sunken boats and a variety of resources. Wang Xian said to them. Yes. Wang Xian took the lead and swam ahead with Roving Girl and Roving Lobster beside him. Prime Minister Turtle was swimming at the bottom of the sea while Roving Heavens, with a few subordinates, were following behind Wang Xian. Compared to the time when they had just came, they had undoubtedly built up a massive lineup. Wang Xian had many followers after subduing the devil monkeys, but there was one weakness. Most of the devil monkeys were moving too slowly and could not keep up with their speed. Wang Xian could only slow down the speed without much choice. The ocean was vast, magnificent, and extremely mysterious. Occupying 70% of the Earth, humans had yet to explore many regions of the ocean. The terrain of the ocean was much more complicated than the land. Some areas were covered by seaweed, some were barren and desolate. Some had towering seamounts on the bed of the ocean. Wang Xian stormed the ocean with a group of subordinates. In the shallow waters, all the marine animals fled in fright when they met them. There is a Chinese bahaba fish ahead. Seize it. He commanded those at the back. As they wandered around in the sea, Wang Xian was observing the surroundings before he saw a meter-long Chinese bahaba fish. A devil monkey lurched as it seized the Chinese bahaba fish. The devil monkeys could leap as far as 8 meters in the sea. Hence, their speed was much faster than ordinary fish. The devil monkey caught the Chinese bahaba fish easily and returned. Dozens of devil monkeys caught Chinese bahaba fish, giant yellow croaker, and other precious fish. Wang Xian was catching the fish conveniently to replenish the top-quality ingredients in the first-grade restaurant. Dragon King, there's a sinking ship ahead. At this time, a devil monkey who was running all over the place reported to Wang Xian. A sinking ship? Wang Xian's eyes gleamed with excitement. Let's go over there. A sinking ship was the biggest treasure in the ocean. According to records, the gold and silver found in the sea were enough to buy over a developed country. The treasure in the ocean was beyond anyone's imagination. With a jerk, Wang Xian swam rapidly to the sinking ship. Sure enough, after he swam for about 2,000 meters, a sinking ship came into his sight. It was a modern ship. The ship was about 30 meters long with the front and back of the ship separated in different directions. The center portion of the vessel was covered in sludge. Wang Xian observed the sinking ship, and he was slightly disappointed. The ship was too small to cross the ocean, likely to be a fishing boat. Wang Xian exhaled a dull yellow dragon breath, revealing the entire ship buried under the earth. When Wang Xian looked over, he spotted some chests in the ship. He opened immediately. Gold. It's gold. 5 chests of golds. Wang Xian's eyes gleamed as he saw the shining gold. We found a ton of gold, 10 tons of steel. Do we collect them for the construction of the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian was looking bitter on his face. A ton of gold was worth more than 300 million. If he sold them away, he would instantly become a billionaire. Besides, these golds were more or less 1% of what he required for constructing the Dragon Palace. Collect them. Wang Xian made a decision, and the gold, even the steel on the vessel before him, disappeared. Only some wood structures were left. Sigh. Wang Xian shook his head and continued hunting in the ocean. If he persisted, the Bohai Sea was too shallow. Wang Xian was considering whether to proceed to other water regions. As they went deeper into the sea, more fantastic living creatures and treasures could be found. But the sea was too vast. It would be a waste of time if he continued to search. He thought he could send the devil monkeys to explore the ocean for resources when the devil monkeys hit level 10. Dragon King, there's an aqua plant forest ahead. It's very magical and beautiful, said Roving Girl, pointing one direction after traveling for half an hour. Wang Xian looked over. A huge and magical underwater region was seen on the right. The entire underwater region was in a myriad of colors, full of fantasy just like how it was on TV and in movies. Many jellyfish were floating around, giving off all kinds of radiances. The underwater wonderland. This was the first time Wang Xian had encountered such a beautiful underwater world with various coral reefs and aquatic plants that exuded different radiances. Let's check it out. Wang Xian swam over with a group of subordinates behind him. We must make our dragon palace look as beautiful as this place in the future. Wang Xian swam over and observed the surroundings. Some of the jellyfish gave way to them when they sensed the imposing aura from them. The surrounding plants gently swayed, looking beautiful at the bottom of the sea. What's that? At this time, a pure red coral drew his attention as he looked ahead. Blood coral, the world's most precious gemstone, worth more than diamonds. That blood coral was worth over tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. The blood coral was located on top of a reef, looking beautiful with a few flowers of a size of 1 meter surrounding it. Wang Xian swam next to the blood coral. He was full of surprise as he reached out to grab the blood coral. Just then, the bright-colored flower below him suddenly moved. Chapter 120. Flower Sac and Heart-Shaped Blood Corals. The more beautiful a thing was, the more likely it became that it would be dangerous. Similarly, the more beautiful a place was, the greater the chances of dangers lurking in the dark. Wang Xian didn't pay attention to the beautiful flowers below him, as his attention was on the blood corals. However, just when he noticed it, it was already too late. 10 bright and gigantic flowers were like beasts on a hunt. In an instant, they launched a lethal attack. Within each flower were densely packed sharp needles. Their roots extended and their petals wrapped around Wang Xian's body directly. Although Wang Xian's body was over 5 meters long, the 10 large flowers were still able to cover his entire body. When he noticed he was attacked by these flowers, Wang Xian was greatly shocked. He could feel the sharp needles of these flowers piercing through his flesh. Although this didn't cause huge damages to him, he noticed that the sharp needles were injecting a poisonous substance into his body. These flowers are poisonous. Wang Xian immediately tried to wiggle his huge body to break free from the flowers. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, tentacle after tentacle extended from the ground and wrapped around Wang Xian. They came one after another at a frantic pace towards Wang Xian. These flowers are trying to absorb me as nutrients. Wang Xian was flabbergasted as he felt his body weakening. He immediately tried to change his elemental attributes. Wood element Azure Dragon. Switching between the 5 elements, Wang Xian turned into an Azure Dragon of the wood element. This won't do. After turning into an Azure Dragon, he was shocked that he couldn't break free from the hold of these flowers. On the contrary, he could sense that these flowers were feasting on his wood attribute's energy. Wang Xian's eyes flickered and attempted an attribute change once again. Metal counters wood. A metal attribute golden-colored divine dragon appeared. How dare you attack the Dragon King? You must be courting death. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Heavens, and the group immediately attacked the flowers after seeing Wang Xian being attacked by them. Roving Heavens swung his huge rod towards these flowers. Roving Lobster used his razor-sharp claws to attack furiously. Metal Edge Cosmos. Wang Xian turned into a divine dragon with metal attribute. He immediately noticed that the damages these terrifying flowers were dealing to him were reduced substantially. Wiggling his body, Wang Xian shot sharp metal needles at the petals of these colorful flowers. Swish, swish, swish. The flowers were pierced, and Wang Xian immediately shredded the roots off him with his metal claws. Devil Flowers, Level 9. Extractable Dragon Energy from the Flower Sac, 45,334. Devil Flowers. What kind of organism is this? It's so scary, and it has reached Level 9. Wang Xian looked at it in horror. A flower reaching Level 9, and even disguising itself as ordinary plants. Just the thought of it made him shudder. The 10 devil flowers had actually trapped him for almost an hour. Dragon King, sorry that we are late. Prime Minister Turtle swam over and spoke with concern. It's all right. Wang Xian shook his head and looked to the devil flowers he had killed. He extended his dragon claws over and grabbed onto the roots before pulling them out forcefully. A blood-red flower sac appeared in his sight. Flower sac of the devil flowers, level 9. Extractable dragon energy, 45,334. Can be used to restore and strengthen one's heart. Wang Xian looked at the information on the flower sacs of the devil flowers and was shocked. This could be considered a spiritual medicine. Restoring and strengthening one's heart was a powerful ability. Cultivation of ancient martial arts had a lot to do with one's heart. One could strengthen his internal energy by consuming this flower sac. At the same time, his cultivation speed would also increase. This is useless to me. Without a moment of hesitation, he devoured it. The 10 devil flowers provided him with over 40,000 points of dragon energy. These were also pleasant surprises for Wang Xian. This, blood coral. Wang Xian turned his attention to the blood corals. Blood corals weren't big, but looked extremely grandeur in the waters. Blood corals were regarded as auspicious objects and represented the noble as well as authority. They were also referred to as precious treasures and symbolized happiness and eternity. Just a single blood coral was worth over $10 million. Wang Xian kept it and looked across this dreamlike underwater region. I was a little careless previously. Although this place is beautiful, there are barely any fish around. Most of the fish were likely eaten by the devil flowers. These devil flowers emit a very unique scent, which makes one feel comfortable to attract other marine animals. Wang Xian looked further ahead. He hesitated for a moment before embarking on his search of this region once again. Although the devil flowers were terrifying, he wasn't too wary after turning into the golden-colored divine dragon of the metal attribute. Considering that he was better prepared currently, level 9 devil flowers wouldn't pose much of a threat to him. Moreover, there was a large amount of dragon energy within the flower sacs of the devil flowers. This could provide him with the dragon energy required for leveling up. Lastly, there were also precious blood corals around. Therefore, he wasn't willing to leave this region. Wang Xian continued his search in this region for signs of devil flowers. Devil flowers, level 8. Extractable dragon energy from the flower sac, 19,654. There are over 10 of them here, but they are all level 8 devil flowers. Wang Xian looked ahead and the information about these devil flowers popped up in his mind. He gave a faint smile, swam over and swung his sharp dragon claws through them before extracting the flower sacs. These added up to an additional 100,000 points of dragon energy, and Wang Xian was feeling great about it. Continue the search. This dreamlike region wasn't very big but still covered 7 to 8 kilometers. Wang Xian found a total of over 30 devil flowers in the vicinity. However, when he reached the central area, he was shocked by a giant devil flower. This particular devil flower had humongous petals that spread over 7 to 8 meters. Each petal was a different color, which included yellow, red, white, green, blue, and others. Looking at the flowers, Wang Xian felt an urge to charge forward. ZZ. Suddenly, the devil monkeys around him seemed a little flustered. Their blood-red eyes turned blurry, and they started walking towards the humongous devil flower. Growl. Wang Xian let out a dragon roar which jerked the devil monkeys awake. When the devil monkeys regained their consciousness, they couldn't help but look in horror at the devil flower. Devil flower, level 12. Extractable dragon energy from the flower sac, 1,112,343. Level 12. Wang Xian gasped. Considering what the devil flower could do, he had no way to deal with a level 12 devil flower. In fact, this devil flower could very well devour him. Forget it. Wang Xian looked at this devil flower with fearful eyes. Although devouring this devil flower could allow him to increase his level quickly, it was too dangerous. The seas are indeed mysterious. My current strength still isn't enough to rule the seas. Wang Xian sighed. When his attention landed on the area behind the devil flower, he stopped and had a joyous look. Surprise. A total surprise. It was a patch of coral reefs. The reason why he was so excited was because these blood corals were in a natural heart shape. This is what is really meant by precious. If I put this on auction, it would fetch at least $100 million. Chapter 121. The Girl That Drives a Bentley, 1. For all 3 days, Wang Xian explored the entire Bohai Sea with his subordinates. 3 days of sleepless nights did not impact him much. When Wang Xian stood on the dragon sect platform again, a large number of men had already gathered before him. Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Girl, Roving Lobster, Roving Heavens, and 800 devil monkeys. Apart from them, some sea turtles and lobsters with no spiritual intelligence lined up together too. These turtles and lobsters were captured by order of Prime Minister Turtle, as he wanted to groom his own subordinates. Wang Xian thought for a while before he agreed to it. For Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Lobster to groom their own men was a good idea too. Cultivate yourself and enhance your strength as soon as possible. Wang Xian looked at his men as he spoke. Yes, Dragon King. The response was much louder than the previous time he'd come. Wang Xian was satisfied. All the men from Dragon Palace disappeared in the ocean as soon as he gestured with an arm swing. All of them hunted for nearby spots to start their cultivation. Quite a good haul this time. I can sell them for quite a huge amount. Wang Xian was amazed when he checked out the treasures beside the dragon sect platform. Millions of dollars worth of Chinese bahaba fish and rare giant yellow croakers. For beautiful blood corals. One of them was ravishing, natural, heart-shaped, and the size of a thumb. Apart from those, they found 15 sunken ships in the last 3 days, out of which they found 3 ships with treasures. Wang Xian found an emerald ring which was worth a lot from the sunken ships. As for the gold and silver, it was taken by the system to construct the Dragon Palace. It has been 3 days. Time for me to go back. Wang Xian looked at the time and noticed it was already afternoon. He beckoned a few Dragonians over and got them to send the Chinese bahaba fish and the giant yellow croakers to the first-grade restaurant. After which, he kept the blood corals and the ring before he followed them back to the first-grade restaurant. Director Wang. Wang Xian heard Manager Huang's voice as soon as he was at the door. He turned around and looked at the shopfront beside the first-grade restaurant. As he lifted his chin and gazed at the fascia board, a satisfied smile surfaced on his face. Divine Dragon Medical Hall. Quite a speedy job. Not bad. Wang Xian expressed his satisfaction on his face and walked towards Manager Huang. Is it renovated? Wang Xian asked directly. Director Wang, it's in the process. It will soon be done since the place isn't big. I'll get the contractor to do it within the shortest possible time. Manager Huang answered Wang Xian. Okay, let's take a look inside. Wang Xian entered. The size of this place was not very huge, with about 170 square meters for the ground and second floor. But as a top medical institution, such a size was good enough. There would not be many patients in the future either. The renovation was done in a retro style, and it would take about 3 or 4 days before it was completed. Wang Xian was very pleased with the medical hall, after which he went back to the first-grade restaurant to check on the revenue made in the past few days. The turnover for the past 3 days remained at just over 1 million for each day. Buzz. Just then, Wang Xian's phone rang. He received a message from Xiao. Brother, today's Friday. I don't have to do military training after school, so I'm having dinner with my friends. Wang Xian sent a message to Xiao when he came out of the ocean. He looked at the date. Without knowing, it was already Friday. Let's have it together. Just perfect. I can treat my roommates to dinner too. Wang Xian pondered for a while. He had yet to buy Zhang Wan and Zhang Feng a meal yet. The two of them were nice people. He should buy them a meal. Sure, brother. Where are you? We still have half an hour before we end. I'll look for you guys. Wang Xian got on his motorcycle and rode to school as he sent the message. After he entered the campus, He felt the familiar attention on him again as some of the students recognized him. Wang Xian looks really cool on his heavy-duty motorcycle. He's got a good figure too. So handsome. Yes, he's very handsome. No wonder Lan Xingyue declared that she likes him on the forum. Handsome is one thing. I bet Wang Xian has some capabilities too. Otherwise, how could he attract Lan Xingyue and Guan Shuqing? I heard that Wang Xian used to be very poor. He was working his ass during his first year. Now, he looks like he is loaded. He's indeed capable and charming. The surrounding students exchanged conversations in whispers. When Wang Xian heard that, he drew his lips. Looked like after he smashed the signboard of the Taekwondo club, his reputation had changed tremendously. At least those contemptuous and disdainful looks were gone. To stay low profile, Wang Xian took out and put on his sunglasses from the motorcycle. He did not return to his room. Instead, he called Wang Dehai. After the call, the three fellows in the room began to doll themselves up. Wang Xian came to the female dormitory and waited for Xiao Yu and her friends to come down. Xiao Yu and the rest had just ended their military training. They must be dolling themselves up. Girls like to look pretty by nature. Since they had been wearing military attire during the training for the past few days, they would want to show off their most beautiful sides now that they were heading out. Wang Xian took out his phone and waited downstairs. Hey, let me make myself clear. I'll sit beside Wang Yu later when we're having dinner. All of you cannot snatch the seat from me. Wang Yu is the prettiest girl in our class. We don't have hopes, but you still have a chance. We'll support you. Lu Ranran is not bad either. Besides, she's an internet celebrity. Heh, I like her. Lu Ranran seems haughty. She's not as good as Wang Yu. Wang Yu is like a girl next door. She's cute. I heard that Lu Ranran can earn a monthly income of $80,000 with her daily live streamings. She even got a car. Damn, being an online broadcaster makes you a lot of money. Only rich second generations like you have a chance to woo Lu Ranran and Wang Yu. We can forget about it. Wang Xian wore a pair of sunglasses to prevent himself from being recognized. When he was swiping his phone, he peered over in curiosity when he overheard the conversation around him. There stood 5 guys with tan skin. Obviously, they were freshmen from military training. One of them was rather good-looking with a height of 185 meters. Judging from his dress sense, his family should be quite well off. They must be Xiao Yu's classmates. Wang Xian pondered to himself as he listened to them. They are coming. Just then, the voices of the same group of guys were heard again. Wang Xian looked over to the entrance as 6 girls walked out of the dormitory. All the girls were dressed up beautifully after changing out of their military uniforms. A girl in the middle was in her high heels. Her bodycon clothes shaped her perfect figure, making her sexy and gorgeous. Xiao Yu was wearing a flower pattern dress. Yuan, Su Qian, Xiao Mi, and an ordinary-looking girl were standing beside her. Lu Ranran is so sexy, Wang Yu is so pretty. The guys beside them brightened up their eyes as they whispered. Chapter 122. The Girl That Drives a Bentley, 2. Lu Ranran, Wang Yu, Zhang Jing. When the guys saw them walking down, they immediately shouted, Lu Hui, you are here. The luscious Lu Ranran smiled at the group of guys and replied, Let's go, girls. Let's head out of school for a good meal. I'm feeling nauseous at the thought of canteen meals after having them for several days straight. That good-looking Lu Hui smiled as he spoke to them. Xiao Yu. When Wang Xian saw Xiao Yu walked out, he smiled and shouted at her. Brother. Xiao Yu lifted her head and looked over. A radiant smile appeared on her face as she walked over quickly. You are so tan now. I almost couldn't recognize you. Wang Xian pinched on Xiao Yu's face as he joked. Who is tan? I'm not even a tinge darker. Xiao Yu rolled her eyes at him and grumpily pushed away the hands that were pinching her face. Senior. Xiaomi, Yuan, and Su Qian also came over to greet Wang Xian. This senior in front of them was a well-known figure. All of you look tanner now, Wang Xian joked. Let's go. I'll treat you guys to a meal. Hee hee, thank you, senior. Xiaomi and the group smiled happily. At this moment, Lu Hui and a few other guys looked over in doubt and saw Wang Xian with sunglasses. This is my brother, and he's from our school too. My brother is bringing us out to eat. Xiaoyu smiled and said to Lu Hui. When Lu Hui heard Xiaoyu, he frowned slightly. Xiaoyu's brother. This won't be good. Let's not trouble your brother. Shall we just go on our own? Lu Hui smiled and asked. Not at all. I'll get my brother to foot the bill. Hee, replied Xiaoyu. Lu Hui opened his mouth, changed his intention and added, Xiaoyu, let's not make your brother pay for it. I can bring you guys to Hadaleo, and it isn't too expensive. Let this be my treat today. Since Xiaoyu's brother would be following, he could only choose to use another strategy and act more generously. This was to leave a good impression on him. It's fine, let me do it. When Wang Xian heard his words, he smiled. It's fine. How could I make our senior pay for us? Come, let this be my treat today, Lu Hui insisted. Just let this be my treat today. I'm already starting to earn money. Lu Ranran flicked her hair, looking past Xiaoyu and Wang Xian. Let's discuss this after we get there. Seeing them, Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Let's drive there. Lu Ranran, don't you have a car? I have one too. 2 cars are just enough. Lu Hui commented. Yeah, where did you park your car? I'll go get mine. Lu Ranran took out a BMW car key from her bag. At that side, Lu Hui smiled and took out a Benz car key as he pointed to the side. Oh, Lu Hui and Lu Ranran, you guys are really rich. Could it be those with the surname Lu are all rich? The few guys at the side spoke in envy when they saw them taking out keys to a BMW and a Benz. I bought my car with the money I've earned. Lu Ranran looked to Lu Hui and said proudly. Cough cough. This is a present from my dad when I made it into the university. Lu Hui smiled and didn't find this embarrassing. Let me go get my car. Lu Ranran took another glance at Lu Hui before heading for the car park behind the dormitory block. Seeing that they had gone to get their car, Xiaoyu hesitated for a moment before adding, My brother bought me a car too. I'll go get it. Xiaoyu, you got a car too? The few guys looked at Xiaoyu in disbelief and questioned. Yeah, my brother bought it for me. Hee. Xiaoyu laughed and headed for the car park behind the dormitory block too. Senior, I did not expect you to be so awesome. You even bought Xiaoyu a car. The few guys looked at Wang Xian and commented. It was a gift from others. I didn't have to pay a cent for it. Wang Xian shook his head. Oh, no wonder. The few guys nodded their heads. There weren't many students who could afford a car nowadays. Students like Lu Ranran and Lu Hui were part of the extreme minority. However, Senior, you still look like someone incredible. Oh, to me, Lu Ranran and Lu Hui are more incredible. They could afford to drive a Benz and BMW while they were still students. If I could even get one in my lifetime, I'd be contented with life. The group of people waited by the roadside, chatting as they walked. What are you doing here, Wang Yu? At the back of the female dormitory block, Lu Ranran looked puzzlingly at Xiaoyu when she saw her. In their entire class and even the faculty, the two of them could be considered to be the 2 most beautiful girls. However, she realized that the gentle Xiaoyu, who also had the girl next door image, was more popular among the guys. This made her a little upset. Naturally, girls like to compare themselves with others. My brother bought me a car, and I've parked it here too, Wang Yu smiled and replied to Lu Ranran. Oh. Lu Ranran raised an eyebrow. Not bad. As she spoke, she clicked on the key in her hand. The BMW 5 Series car sounded in front of her. I bought this myself. Which car is yours? As she spoke, her lips curved into a smile. Despite being a student, she had bought a BMW 5 Series with her own hard work. This was the reason why she had the capital to be proud of her achievements. That one. Wang Yu pointed to a car completely covered with a car hood. The car had been left outside for a few days. Xiaoyu wasn't willing to let it be battered by the wind and rain. Therefore, she had covered it up well. Let's go. Lu Ranran stole a glance, and her lips curved into a smile. She entered the car, brought down the car window and smiled at Wang Yu. Wang Yu walked to her car, squatted down and started removing the car hood. A pink Bentley was slowly revealed. The car was elegant, breathtaking, and grand. That distinct car logo B was so eye-catching. After placing the car hood in the boot, Xiao opened the door and got into the car. "Let's go." Xiao also lowered her car window when she replied to Lu Ranran. At this very moment, Lu Ranran stared at Xiao's car, completely dumbfounded. A pink teenage girl series Bentley. Bentley. It's a Bentley that costs $4 to $5 million. Her heart was shaken and her eyes were filled with disbelief. "This is your car?" "Yeah, it was a gift from my brother." Xiao nodded her head, started the car, and drove out. Looking at the breathtaking and luxurious Bentley leaving, Lu Ranran held tightly to the steering wheel. How can this be? How can this be possible? Bentley. That's a Bentley. Lu Ranran looked helplessly at the car ahead. Compare? What could she take out to compare? That car alone would be enough for her to buy 10 BMW 5 Series. At the other side, along the pathway beside the female dormitory, Lu Hui drove a $400,000 Benz over. He lowered the car window and said to the group of guys, "Come, my car can fit 4 people at the maximum. 3 of you get in." "Boss is really awesome. A Benz. Hee hee." The group of guys got in excitedly. "Oh my gosh. Bentley. A pink Bentley." Chapter 123. Let's be friends, Tycoon. A pink Bentley slowly stopped at the roadside next to the girls' dormitory. Rivertown was considered to be the best second-tier city, but top-branded cars were uncommon, especially a pink Bentley. This was the luxury car that all girls dreamed of. But 99% of the girls would not pin their hopes on it. Not many people could afford a car that was worth $4 to $5 million. At the very least, no one was driving such a luxury car at the University of Rivertown, let alone the ladies. Hence, when the luxury car stopped by the roadside, it drew all the attention of the surrounding people instantly. What a beautiful car. It's simply gorgeous. Pink Bentley. Which girl is driving it? I'm dying of envy. A Bentley. A girl driving such a car is simply too striking. I'm envious. How nice would it be if I had one too? Must be an 80-year-old boyfriend gave it to her. Otherwise, how could she afford a Bentley? Envy and jealousy echoed in the surroundings. "Brother, Xiaomi, Yuan, Suqian, get in the car." Xiao stretched her cute little head and shouted to Wang Xian and the rest. Xiaomi, Yuan, and Suqian were not surprised. After all, they already knew her brother's capability. But the guys and the other girl were totally clueless. Xiao was also a low-profile girl during military training. From her behavior, she did not portray herself to be a princess. Hence, everyone was dumbfounded when they saw her driving a car that was worth $5 million. Gulp. Lu Hui swallowed his saliva in his Mercedes as he gazed at the pink Bentley with his eyes wide open. Out of expectation, I never thought that Wang Yu came from such a wealthy family. He recalled how he'd flaunted his Mercedes car key just now. His lips twitched as he squeezed a smile on his face. "Wang Yu, I didn't know that you're actually a princess." Hee hee. Xiao giggled to him. She noticed that the people around her were pointing and taking photos of her car, so she quickly said, "Let's go. We better hurry up." "Okay, let's go now." Lu Hui answered quickly. Now, he did not dare to pretend he was rich anymore. "Let's go." Wang Xian sat in the passenger seat inside the car. He did not ride the motorcycle away, as Wang Dahai would be riding it over. The 3 girls sat in the back. The other girl and a guy took Lu Ranran's car. "Brother, this is too high profile." When the engine started, Xiao spotted that some of the students stopped walking just to view her car. They even took photos of it. For a moment, her cheeks blushed. She had never been in the limelight since young. "It's okay. Girls should be pampered," Wang Xian said with a smile. "Xiao, you are so blessed to have such a brother. Others would be too envious of you." "Yes, Xiao, you're too low profile." Just look at Lu Ranran. She can't wait to let the entire school know that she's an internet celebrity, earning $80,000 monthly and owning a BMW. Su Qian said from the back. Xiao smiled and said no more. She just wanted to be herself. The car drove out of the school and headed to the old street. After Xiao parked the car, some of the guys crowded around her car with astonished looks on their faces. Wang Yu, this is awesome. Too impressive. It's a Bentley. A pink Bentley. Gosh, I learned something today. A guy said in exaggeration. Come on, it's just a car. Wang Yu smiled and shook her head. Just a car? We could worship the car. A guy twitched the corner of his lips. We thought Lu Hui and Lu Ranran were already impressive, but Wang Yu, you concealed yourself well. Several of them rattled on. Lu Hui and Lu Ranran at the side were looking embarrassed, but they did not say anything. When the gap between both parties was too huge, they lost the motivation to make a comparison. All they could do was worship. No way could they make a comparison. Let's go. I'll take all of you to dinner. Later, you guys will sit at a table while my roommates sit at a table with me. Wang Xian explains this to them as he led them to the first-grade restaurant. Senior, anything will do. Anything, the guys quickly replied. The first-grade restaurant. When they reached the door, the guys took a glance and looked at Lu Hui. Senior is awesome. Treating so many of us to dinner here could easily cost over 10,000. Lu Hui drew his lips as he spoke. Lu Ranran nodded her head silently and followed them in. Director Wang. They heard the greeters at the side as soon as they entered through the door. Okay. Wang Xian nodded and continued his way inside. The group of people behind froze as they were all stunned. The first-grade restaurant is owned by Xiao's brother, said Su Qian, looking at them. Senior owns the first-grade restaurant? All of them stared with astounded eyes as they were overwhelmed by the shock. First-grade restaurant. Looking at the fish that were worth millions on display, the amount of shock they received was hard to put into words. Xiao Mei, get the kitchen to prepare some dishes. Get us a big table for 12 people and a small table for 4 people. Prepare 2-headed abalones for each table. Wang Xian looked at Xiao Mei and said, Yes, I got it, Director Wang. The server, Xiao Mei, nodded her head immediately. Okay, let's go to the private room. Wang Xian told them as he led them to a private room. 2-headed abalone. Senior just took 2-headed abalones out. Gosh, they're worth $600,000. Gosh, we're going to have a meal that is worth a few hundred thousands. Hard to believe. It's hard to believe. All of them were stunned. Even Lu Hui and Lu Ranran were dumbfounded. The cost of this meal could easily pay for their cars. Xiao's brother is a tycoon. Did you all see the watch she's wearing now? She just put it on today. Can you guys guess how much it is? Xiaomi lowered her voice and asked her with smiles all over her face. All of them looked over. Lu Hui was pondering, that brand should be Patek Philippe. Patek Philippe's watches should be more than a few $100,000. Lu Ranran continued. $880,000. Xiaomi gestured with her fingers. All of them went into silence as they slowly shook their heads. Impressive. I'm willing to shorten my life by 20 years to have such a great brother. This bunch of students finally understood who were the rich people and who were the tycoons. They stared at Xiao as they could not imagine such an approachable and cute girl to be so filthy rich. First-class branded car, and a watch that cost nearly $1 million. Let's be friends, Tycoon. Chapter 124, Princess Xiao. In a large private lounge in first-grade restaurant, there were 2 tables in the private lounge. Xiao and her classmates were sitting around a table. Wang Xian, Wang Dahai, Zhang Wan and Zhang Feng sat around the other table. Come Tycoon, let's have a toast. Wang Dahai, Zhang Wan and Zhang Feng raised their cups and signaled to Wang Xian. I had really not expected you to become so rich. If I hadn't heard it from Dahai, I wouldn't have believed it. Incredible. $1 million thanks to the Tycoon, Wang Xian, who is treating us today. I have to eat till I can't even walk today. Zhang Wen and Zhang Feng looked at the dishes on the table and remarked emotionally. Wang Xian smiled and said, "Come, let's have a toast. It's fate that brought us together as roommates." Cheers. Wang Xian's table had started eating without holding back. As for the table beside them, Xiao Yu and her classmates had not started at all. Nowadays, girls like to take pictures of their food before they start eating. It was the same for some of the guys. There were also guys who weren't into this. However, everyone resisted the temptation of the food this time. They wanted to take photos before they start eating. Nope. Rather, they wanted to show off to others before they started eating. After we upload these pictures to our circle of friends, they will definitely be impressed. Two-headed abalone and Atlantic bluefin marlin for this meal? Hee hee. Xiao Yu, this is too extravagant. Thank you, Xiao Yu, for your warm welcome. The group commented as they took pictures and uploaded them to their circle of friends. Even Lu Ranran and Lu Hui, who came from well-to-do families, couldn't contain themselves and took a few pictures to show off. Come, let's take a group picture. Lu Hui stood up and said to the group. Take a look at our school forum. There are many people commenting on Xiao Yu's pink Bentley. Really? Let me see. It's true. There are quite a number of replies too. Don't just look at the forum. Take a look at our class Weixin group. They were talking about this too. The few guys commented, and soon everyone took out their phones to check. In their class group chat, a student had uploaded a few pictures and added, "There's a pink Bentley beside the female dormitory block. It's so stunning. Oh damn, who's that filthy rich girl who could actually afford to drive a pink Bentley? Looking at the cup noodles beside me. Haze. Forget it. I'll add a strip of bacon. Who's that girl? Is she single? I'll pursue her." Comparing with others would only deflate myself. I was still considering the brand of bicycle I should get. Now, in the class group, the group of students were chatting raucously and sighing. The group around the table found this to be hilarious. Su Qian laughed and uploaded the pictures she took today onto the group. Take a look. Who do you think this is? She smiled and clicked the send button. The group got silent for a few seconds. However, it exploded shortly after. Damn. What the hell? Why does she look a little like Wang Yu? She doesn't just look like Wang Yu. It's her. The owner of the pink Bentley is our class goddess, Wang Yu. She has hidden it too well. Wang Yu looks so approachable like the girl next door. Who would have expected her to drive a Bentley? Worship. I never expected our class to have a hidden princess-level existence. The group exploded immediately as the students couldn't help but sigh. Towards the end, even the school counselor commented. No one had expected that demure, cute, and beautiful girl would be so incredible. Let's give them another piece of shocking news. One of the male students revealed a smile and uploaded a picture of their meal. Xiao Yu's brother is giving us a treat. First-grade restaurant is her brother's restaurant. This meal alone costs over $100,000. That male student added the comment. Replies flooded in quickly for that comment. Perhaps they couldn't imagine the life of the filthy rich. $100,000 for a meal? They wouldn't even dare to dream about it. This is equivalent to a princess-level existence. The student sighed emotionally. After this incident, Xiao Yu had become famous in the class. In fact, the entire school might get to know about her in the near future. Wang Dehai and Wang Xian were chatting joyously while eating. Soon, Xiao Yu and her classmates also started. Towards the end of the day, Xiao Yu's classmates went over to Wang Xian one after another to give a toast to him. No matter what, they had to thank Wang Xian and Wang Yu for treating them to such a luxurious dinner. The dinner ended at around 10 p.m. Wang Xian stood up and walked over to Xiao Yu. You will be having your off day tomorrow. If you'd like to tour around, take this card along. You could stay and play for free in the Summer Sun Resort with it. Wang Xian passed the family membership card of the Summer Sun Resort to Xiao Yu, as he wouldn't be using it himself. All right, brother. Aren't you coming with us to play tomorrow? Xiao Yu asked while taking the card from Wang Xian. I'll give it a pass. I'll be a little busy for the next 2 days and have things to attend to. You guys could go and have fun. Wang Xian smiled as he replied. All right then. Xiao nodded her head and didn't question further. The group headed back towards the school with satisfied smiles on their faces. This time, when Xiao drove her car to the car park behind the girls' dormitory block, Lu Ranran went over enthusiastically and even helped her put up the car hood. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that she knew that Wang Xian had rumors with Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing, she might have asked for Wang Xian's contacts from Xiao. However, after giving it some thought, she gave up on the idea. Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue were famous goddesses of the school. They weren't something she could match up to. When Wang Xian got back to his dormitory, he had a good night's sleep. He had not slept for the last 3 to 4 days. The next morning, Wang Dehai went over to look for Su Qian at the break of dawn. When Wang Xian woke up, it was already 10 a.m. After washing up, he went over to his medical hall. He would still prefer to take a look at the renovations of the medical hall. Moreover, there were still some things that he had to give instructions about before buying. Currently, Wang Xian liked to wear a pair of sunglasses while in school. It wasn't that he wanted to look cool to others, but rather that he wanted to prevent others from recognizing him. However, when he reached the entrance of the school, he still sensed a sharp gaze looking at him. Wang Xian looked over in the direction and was slightly surprised. It was a juvenile that was looking at him, that juvenile from the Sacred Followers Guild. There was also a middle-aged man beside the juvenile. That middle-aged man was skinny and wore a white shirt and a pair of gray pants. The middle-aged man was also staring at Wang Xian. His gaze was sharp and felt chilly. Wang Xian didn't pay attention to it as he continued walking forward. However, even if Wang Xian didn't want to be bothered by them, it didn't mean that they wouldn't bother him. The two of them headed straight to him. Wang Xian lifted his eyebrows and stopped. He looked at the middle-aged man and that juvenile. Hey son, how are you? The middle-aged man walked over and said to Wang Xian. Do you have something for me? Wang Xian looked at them and asked. Nothing. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian from head to toe. He shook his head and commented, It's just, if you have nothing, I have something going on. I'm not too close to you guys, so don't come and disturb me. Seeing their attitude, Wang Xian interrupted his words directly in a sharp and cold manner. After finishing his sentence, he turned around and left. Chapter 125. Medical Hall is open. Wang Xian ignored that fellow. He was even more annoyed with the middle-aged man. If both of them came with a good attitude, he would not have any comments. But all they did was stare hard at him and judge him from head to toe without any courtesy. People would have thought that this middle-aged man was a pervert. Wang Xian usually ignored such people. I don't care who you are. Who cares? The faint smile froze on the face of the middle-aged man. He darkened his expression and glared coldly at Wang Xian. Master, this fellow is too arrogant. Last time, he even commented that the Sacred Followers Guild is trash. Too haughty. We ought to teach him a lesson. The juvenile by his side stared at Wang Xian as he spoke viciously. He bore grudges ever since what happened last time. He told his master about this since he was here. Yet his master's curiosity was piqued, and that was not what he had expected. After some investigations into that young man, the outcome took them by surprise. According to the information from the Sacred Followers Guild, he was not a disciple of the Sacred Followers Guild. Wang Xian might have inherited the medical skills from some experts unknowingly. Hence, his master had a plan. Yes, he's arrogant. This lad probably thought he could afford to be haughty. Radiance flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes as he stared at Wang Xian. He thought he could be arrogant since he has ties with Qin family and Shui family. Heh. Master, he probably didn't know what we're capable of. Should we teach him a lesson? Coldness flashed in the juvenile's eyes. Sacred Followers Guild cannot be humiliated. No spirits or God could save them if they did. The middle-aged man displayed a cold look. Initially, I wanted to recruit him to the Sacred Followers Guild and get him to hand over his medical skill inheritance. Since he is so ignorant, I shall not give him any face. Humph. Master, what should we do? Upon hearing what his master said, the juvenile looked surprised. We must teach him a lesson. Didn't he open a medical hall? If that's the case, radiance flickered in the middle-aged man's eyes. Some lads don't know what's good for them. We need to teach him a lesson. Hee. That's right, master. We need to teach him a lesson. The juvenile showed excitement on his face. Anyone who provokes Sacred Followers Guild is seeking their own doom. No spirits nor gods can save them. Let's go. We'll meet the people from the Yin family. I heard that the old man in Yin family has already attained half-step level, said the middle-aged man. Yes, master. The juvenile nodded and followed behind his master. Yin family was ranked first in the ancient martial artist family of Rivertown. They were the absolute ultimate existence in this town. Even though Yin family had retreated for 20 years and things had changed, they were still known as the first in the Rivertown. The rest of the ancient martial artist families could never be comparable with the Yin family in terms of their capabilities. Wang Xian came to the Divine Dragon Medical Hall and suggested some ideas to the renovation workers. Once the renovation was completed, they could use it immediately since they only used materials of the best quality. In addition, Wang Xian also got Old Xin and Old Shui to promote his business for him. Publicity was difficult for Wang Xian, but it was a piece of cake for them, especially Old Xin. Old Xin pulled strings for him. In the future, those eligible patients were recommended here for treatment if they could not get themselves cured in Rivertown's hospital. Wang Xian also fixed a price. Cost of treatment would start from $2 million. No money? I'm sorry. Please leave. The Divine Dragon Medical Hall is not a charity organization. No money, no cure. Wang Xian was not a Virgin Mary that would treat any poor man who came along. There were too many pitiful people around the world. If all of them need treatment, wouldn't he be tired to death? Hence, Wang Xian laid some ground rules. 1. Treatment fees start from $2 million, subject to conditions. 2. No money, no cure. 3. Appointments need to be made in advance. 4. Open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. These 4 rules, in his opinion, were not harsh at all. They were achievable. Time passed by, and Wang Xian just shuffled between the restaurant and Divine Dragon Medical Hall every day. The weather was rather hot these few days. Xiao had been complaining to him how hot it was during their military training. Seeing her getting darker each day, Wang Xian decided to find a chance to strengthen her body with the dragon energy. With regards to his sister's future, he had some struggles. He wanted Xiao to practice the Divine Dragon transformation with him. But Xiao did not have the Divine Dragon bloodline. Wang Xian could not possibly insert his blood essence into his sister. If she did, she would be controlled by him. Then she would possess the mindset that she was under his command. Naturally, he did not want his own sister to do that. It was possible for her to practice ancient martial arts. However, he did not have the methods. What Imo Qinglong practiced was considered a devilish art. It was not suitable for Xiao to practice. Whereas Shui family's art of cultivation could only be practiced by the men. Hence, he did not mention too much to Xiao. After the Dragon Palace was built, there would be ways. The Dragon Palace had a treasure known as the Dragon Evolution Fruit. After eating that, one could transform into a dragon. When the time came, he would just need to ask his sister to take the fruit and that would do. Boss, all the things are ready. We can open for business tomorrow, said Manager Huang after he checked on all the things in the medical hall on the 4th day. Okay, done. Wang Xian nodded. All the renovation was completed. The medical hall was painted in green with wood furniture. Green represents wood attributes. Hence, Wang Xian felt that this was a suitable color. The entire room was very simple, with 3 beds and 4 chairs in the middle. The second floor had the exact same layout with 3 beds. I have invited those who needed to be invited. Tomorrow, the medical hall will be officially opened. Wang Xian smiled. If the medical hall succeeded in the future, the revenue from the first-grade restaurant could not hold a candle to the revenue of the medical hall. The medical hall was opened for business the next morning. There was no stage or publicity. Wang Xian put 2 wooden signs on both sides of the medical hall. One said, "May the opening be a success." Another one had the Divine Dragon Medical Hall's rules written on it. The rules were what Wang Xian had set. As a Divine Dragon Medical Hall, there must be some style in it. The 2 signs before the entrance were very eye-catching. The pedestrian traffic was huge on the old street. Some of them looked at the medical hall with curiosity. Medical halls had almost disappeared in modern times. There were only pharmacies, healthcare services, and hospitals. But an ancient medical hall was rarely seen. Some of the people crowded around and looked at the ancient and plain-looking medical hall. A curious old man walked closer and read the fascia board. He then swept his gaze at the signs near the entrance and got a shock on his face. What does it say? Treatment fees start from $2 million. Subject to conditions. No money, no cure. Appointments need to be made in advance. Open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. What kind of medical hall is this, with the cost of treatment that starts at $2 million? Nowadays, people are crazy about money. Is a deity the doctor? It's so expensive. Chapter 126. Challenge 1. That's strange. Someone actually decided to open a medical hall here. Medical halls are rarely seen nowadays, although there might still be some in the rural areas. Nonetheless, isn't this medical hall a little too much? Treatment starts at a minimum of $2 million? Are they crazy? This is likely just their publicity stunt. Each of its 4 rules gets more and more absurd. They are probably just fooling around. Look, there's no one here to see the doctor. Moreover, I don't see any medicine in it. Outside the Divine Dragon Medical Hall, a curious crowd had gathered to take a look at this new medical hall. Looking at the notice board placed outside, every one of them shook their head. Disregarding the other rules, treatment fees at a minimum of $2 million could already deter many people. $2 million? What kind of illness would require treatment of $2 million? The crowd exchanged their views and quickly scattered. That old man that had joked that this medical hall was treating deities had also left after seeing the exorbitant price. Wang Xian sat in the medical hall and smiled upon hearing the conversations outside the medical hall. This was what he wanted to achieve. He did not wish that his medical hall would be as noisy as the wet market. His positioning had been set to focus on the high-end market. Brother Wang Xian, you seem to be in high spirits. At this moment, Wang Xian heard old Qin and old Shue's voice from outside the shop. There were also some family members of the Qin and Shui families behind the 2 family heads. Congratulations on the opening of your medical hall. 5 to 6 people walked in. They were all wearing smiles as they observed the surroundings. Shui Jing and Qin Lianhui each held on to a congratulatory gift which they eventually placed on the table by the side. Wang Xian stood up to welcome them. I'm still waiting for old Qin and old Shui to direct some business to me. Haha, there's definitely business for you. Old Shui laughed heartily. I have introduced you to a few ancient martial artists. All of them had hidden injuries on them that require treatment. The directors from several hospitals in Rivertown will also be coming over in a while. They could also help to introduce patients if they fulfill the criteria. Old Qin replied. I really have to thank you guys then. Let's have a feast for lunch. Wang Xian smiled and replied. Just as they were chatting, a middle-aged man and an old man arrived at the entrance. Carrying the congratulatory gifts in their hands, they took a look at the signboard to confirm the location before entering. Isn't that the director of the number 1 hospital in Rivertown? I recognize him. He's incredible. That seems to be the director of the number 3 hospital in Rivertown. They aren't the only ones. The directors of several other large hospitals are all there. Who's the owner of this Divine Dragon Medical Hall? Why are there so many influential figures? With a dozen-plus people suddenly entering a rather unique medical hall, it immediately drew the attention of many people. Passers-by, who were initially curious about the medical hall, were all shocked by what they had seen. Considering that the directors of several large hospitals had come, It was easy to tell that the owner wasn't someone ordinary. "Director Li, you are here. Come in." As the group of hospital directors and influential people in Rivertown entered the shop, Old Qin immediately went over to welcome them. Wang Xian smiled and followed. These were all his guests, and he had to rely on them to refer business to him. "Thank you, directors, for coming. I'm really grateful." Wang Xian went over and exchanged customary words. "This must be Brother Wang Xian. Indeed, heroes are often developed from youth. May your medical hall prospers in years to come." "Congratulations." The group of hospital directors greeted enthusiastically. Wang Xian smiled in response and exchanged customary words. He was clear that they were here because of Old Qin. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to invite this group of people. "Old Shui, I hope we aren't late." Less than half an hour after the arrival of the hospital directors, another group of people entered the shop. Different from the first batch of guests, this group of people had a unique disposition around them. All of them had terrifying powers contained within their bodies. "Not at all, not at all. Old Brother Duan, please come in." Old Shui immediately walked over and invited the old man at the front of the group. Old Qin turned his head over and greeted with a smile. "Old Duan, I did not expect you to be here." "Hee, just coming to take a look. For a miracle doctor that even Old Shui and Old Qin recommend, I naturally had to come and take a look." The old man smiled in response as his attention fell on Wang Xian. "Old Duan, welcome." Seeing how Old Qin and Old Shui had acted, a thought struck him and he recalled a family. Ancient martial arts family, Duan family. They were the third strongest family in Rivertown. As for this old man in front of Wang Xian, he was most likely the family head of the Duan family, Duan Guaji. He's a martial artist level 8 expert. This must be the young miracle doctor, Wang Xian. I will have to trouble you in a while. Old Duan looked at Wang Xian. "Not at all. I'm doing this as a business after all." Wang Xian laughed, took a glance at Old Duan and thought to himself that Old Duan must have some hidden injuries. Haha. Old Duan was injured during a sparring session when he was young and has not recovered since. "Brother Wang Xian, you've got to take a good look at it in a while. The Duan family isn't lacking in money." Old Shui joked. "As long as you can cure me, money isn't an issue." Old Duan waved his hand proudly. The ancient martial arts families in Rivertown weren't disheveled. The 7 to 8 families were often not seen or known by the general public. Moreover, there wasn't deep animosity between families. Shui family was on the rise recently and had formed a good relationship with the Qin family. During this period of time, things were smooth sailing for the Shui family, and the Duan family had chosen to maintain a cordial relationship with them. Just as Wang Xian was entertaining his guest, a voice sounded from outside the shop suddenly. "Divine Dragon Medical Hall? How arrogant! The Divine Dragon serves as our totem. Its prestige should not be encroached or infringed upon. A small medical hall dares to call itself the Divine Dragon Medical Hall? Inappropriate. It has to change its name." Instantly, the lively hall quietened down. Old Shui frowned and lashed out. "Come in. You guys sure are haughty." "Hee, that's because we have the strength to back it." The voice sounded again, and the crowd immediately looked to the door. There were 5 people standing at the entrance with 2 middle-aged men in the middle. There was also a juvenile and 2 young men by their left and right. The group of 5 people walked into the shop. They looked around arrogantly before turning their attention to Wang Xian. "Not bad. I can see that you have invited quite a number of people." The slim, middle-aged man smirked and commented sarcastically, "The medical hall isn't big, but there sure are quite a number of rules. As for the medical skills, it's worth looking into, but you sure are arrogant." Wang Xian looked at the 5 of them emotionlessly. He knew 2 of the 5 people, and they were none other than the middle-aged man and juvenile from the Sacred Followers Guild. "It seems like I should have added another rule for my medical hall." Wang Xian looked at the 5 of them and smirked. "Uninvited people, and dogs are prohibited." "Haha, great. What a sharp tongue you have." Wang Xian's words immediately made the 5 of them embarrassed. The slim middle-aged man looked coldly at Wang Xian. You are the first person who dares to be so unruly to the Sacred Followers Guild. There's also no one in Rivertown who dares to speak to me, Yin Zhongyuan, in such a way. The sturdy middle-aged man beside the slim middle-aged man added in a cold tone. Sacred Followers Guild. Yin family. Exclamations sounded in the medical hall. Chapter 127. Challenge 2. Sacred Followers Guild. Yin family. To the people of Rivertown, each of them represented a supreme existence. In particular, one of the two medical sacred sects, Sacred Followers Guild. Any members from the Sacred Followers Guild possessed huge influence. Greetings to the senior. Those hospital directors in the medical hall revealed an appalled expression. They hesitated before they greeted him respectfully. No choice. The Sacred Followers Guild was influential in the medical field. They were so strong that even directors had to treat members of Sacred Followers Guild with care. This was the power of the Sacred Followers Guild. Yin Zhongyuan, Old Shui, Old Duan, and the rest of the ancient martial artists fixed their gazes at the sturdy middle-aged man beside the members of Sacred Followers Guild. A burly figure with shoulder-length hair made him look a little out of this world, but none of the ancient martial artists on the spot dared to underestimate him. Yin family, Yin Zhongyuan. Both names were good enough to hold Rivertown in awe. Old Duan clenched his fist as he glared at Yin Zhongyuan with hatred in his eyes. But helplessness took over what was in his eyes. Yin family was too strong. Yin Zhongyuan's reputation was domineering too. Old Shui had mixed expressions. Eventually, he took a deep breath and spoke no more. The group of ancient martial arts experts did not utter a word. Upon seeing everyone's shocked and respectful manner, the slim, middle-aged man made a prideful gesture. Yin family, Sacred Followers Guild. Wang Xian gazed at Yin Zhongyuan and that middle-aged man with radiance flickering in his eyes. Both Yin Zhongyuan and the middle-aged man from the Sacred Followers Guild were staring back at Wang Xian with disdainful looks in their eyes. How reputable, Sacred Followers Guild and the Yin family. Huh. Wang Xian was composed as he stared at them scornfully. Yes, how reputable. Old Qin swept his gaze across the directors and spoke slowly with a darkened expression. Those hospital directors dreaded the influence of the Sacred Followers Guild. The ancient martial artist families were afraid of the Yin family. But not the Qin family. No matter how formidable the ancient martial artists were, they were still under the governance of the country. Even the inborn experts could not do anything they pleased. Qin family, the family that had a long history in Rivertown, was not afraid of the ancient martial artist family. Of course, Qin family would not provoke them since it would do them no good. The middle-aged man from the Sacred Followers Guild and Yin Zhongyuan took a glance at old Qin without saying anything. Both of them were not afraid of Qin family either. I, Feng Huazi, heard that there's a little miracle doctor over here. So, I'm here to look around and spar with him at the same time. When I saw the fascia board on the medical hall, I thought it was inappropriate. I think the medical hall should change its name to Little Worm Medical Hall. Huh, that would suit it the most. Feng Huazi of Sacred Followers Guild jeered as he looked at Wang Xian. Upon hearing him, Wang Xian revealed a faint, cold smile. Does that mean that if I think that Feng Huazi is a bad name, I can call you Jiao Huazi? Asshole, you better watch your mouth. Your medical hall just opened for business today, and we are here to challenge you. If you lose, you'll have to smash your signboard and close down this place. In medical learnings, there's no first or last. But don't disgrace yourself when your skill is lousy. As soon as Wang Xian finished his sentence, a juvenile jumped out and pointed at him as he bellowed. Sacred Followers Guild is here to challenge. This is getting out of hand. Sigh. I never thought that this young man would have provoked the Sacred Followers Guild. We can't meddle in this anymore. On account of old Qin, let's just stay and watch. The directors were exchanging conversations in whispers with awful looks. If it were not on account of old Qin, all of them would definitely support the Sacred Followers Guild. It was all about the reputation. The reputation of the Sacred Followers Guild was like a towering mountain to them. Hence, they were in favor of the Sacred Followers Guild. If not for the relationship with Old Qin, they could have jumped out and reprimanded Old Qin just to fawn over the Sacred Followers Guild. The discussion among the directors might have been soft, but Wang Xian heard everything clearly. He frowned slightly and looked at Feng Huazi, whose expression was cold. He had an idea. His eyes were smiling as he said, "Challenge? Ha, fine. Since you're here to challenge, I'll smash my own signboard and close down this place if I lose." As Wang Xian spoke, he slowly strolled to Feng Huazi and looked at him impassively. "But that would be too boring." "What? You still want to raise the stakes?" Feng Huazi looked at Wang Xian with sarcasm on his face. "Since you're here to challenge me, I will set the rules. If I lose, I'll close down this place. In addition, let's put a pair of arms at stake. Whoever loses will cripple their arms." Wang Xian stretched out his arm at Feng Huazi with a smiling face while looking at him fervently. Wang Xian would never lose. Even if it were a dying person, he could prolong his life with dragon energy. It would at most consume some of his dragon energy. If consuming some dragon energy could impair Feng Huazi, it would be worth it. Wang Xian stunned everyone with his words. Even Feng Huazi frowned. "Even your life is not worth exchanging my master's arms." A juvenile by the side glared at Wang Xian coldly as he growled. "Shut up." Wang Xian snapped at the juvenile impassively. He slowly sat back in a chair at the side, gazing at them leisurely. "Isn't Sacred Followers Guild compelling? You don't even dare to accept the challenge? Hee, and don't tell me how precious your arms are. Accept it if you dare. Since you're here to challenge, you can't be that chicken. Do you know you're asking for your own doom?" Feng Huazi glared at Wang Xian coldly. "Idiot, I don't have time for you. Since you're here to challenge, you might as well place a bigger bet. Get lost if you're a chicken. You said I'm courting my own doom? Why do you have so much fucking nonsense for a challenge?" Wang Xian stood up immediately as he spoke to Feng Huazi coldly. "SSS." The hospital directors around them drew a cold breath as they stared at Wang Xian in surprise. Guts, he had guts. If that man from the Sacred Followers Guild is here for a challenge, then Wang Xian is forcing the challenge to go on. They were unsure if challenging a Sacred Followers Guild on medical skills was considered to be brave or capable. No matter what, Wang Xian's imposing demeanor overpowered that man from the Sacred Followers Guild. Even Yin Zhongyuan knit his eyebrows, staring at Wang Xian doubtfully. Old Shui and Old Qin clenched their fists as they watched quietly. "Don't blame me for it since you want to die so much. Nobody can save you today once you compete with me on medical skills." Feng Huazi fixed his gaze on Wang Xian. He was infuriated because of Wang Xian's challenge. He was confident that the lad before him would never be his match, but he was angry at Wang Xian's dominating demeanor. He should be the one who dominated the situation. "Fine, since you agreed, let's begin now." Wang Xian chuckled. "Everyone here will be our witnesses for the competition. The one who loses will impair both arms. I think Sacred Followers Guild would not go back on their word. Otherwise, the entire Sacred Followers Guild will be shameful. You'll soon find out your outcome for offending me." Silver needles were flickering, giving off cold radiance when Feng Huazi rubbed his palms together. "Later, we'll impair your arms personally." Chapter 128, Challenge 3. Let's make everyone the judges for this contest. Does anyone have any issue with it? Old Qin looked at the face-off of Wang Xian and Feng Huazi and asked loudly. "Sure. The winner of a contest of medical skills will be clear to tell." Feng Huazi looked past Old Qin and said plainly, "Medical skills are about the 4 diagnostic methods of observing, listening, questioning, and feeling one's pulse, followed by manipulation, medicinal herbs, and acupuncture for treatment. Since we are going to compete, let's start with these. Observe, listen, question, and feel one's pulse." Wang Xian looked at him and revealed a faint smile. He knew nothing about these diagnosis methods and naturally wouldn't be a match in these aspects. "Troublesome. Since we are going to compete, it's natural to cure the patient. That's the core of medical skills. No matter how great you are in these 4 diagnosis methods, it's useless if you can't cure the patient. Wang Xian spoke plainly. The surrounding hospital directors nodded their heads silently. These 4 diagnosis methods were frequently used a long time ago. However, in the current era, there weren't many who specialized in these. It wasn't that these methods weren't important anymore, but it was because of the advancement of technology. Whether a doctor was great or bad depended on if he could cure his patient. It was pointless to have other fanciful packaging. All right, how shall we do it? When it comes to medical skills, you aren't a match for me either. Feng Huazi gave Wang Xian a harsh stare and said, "We have a few members of the underworld here today, and most of them have hidden injuries that have not recovered completely. Let's see who can cure them of their injuries. I believe this wouldn't be a problem for you, right?" Old Shui looked at Wang Xian before turning to Feng Huazi. Feng Huazi squinted his eyes and looked across the people beside Old Shui before agreeing. "I don't have an issue with it. I'm fine with it too." Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. "Since you guys are going to compete, you guys can use me for the contest." Old Duan walked out and stopped between Wang Xian and Feng Huazi. "I was injured by a poisonous palm strike 10 years ago. The poison has entered my bone marrow, and I'll have a day each month where I'll feel worse than death." As Old Duan spoke, his gaze swept past Yin Zhongyuan and felt a tinge of resentment. "I'm fine with the arrangement." Wang Xian nodded his head directly. Suddenly, Yin Zhongyuan, who had been staying at one side, spoke to Feng Huazi. "Miracle Dr. Feng, I believe we should find another person. The poison palm strike on him was dealt by me when we sparred." "Oh, in that case, let's find another person. Since this reckless man was injured by you, let's forget about him." Feng Huazi nodded his head. "You." When Old Duan heard their conversation, rage welled up to his face. His eyes burned with rage as he stared intensely at Yin Zhongyuan. "What? Do you want another fight? However, if you lose again, it won't end so well." Yin Zhongyuan looked at Old Duan with contempt and threatened. Puff! Old Duan's face was seething with anger. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and did not speak another word. "You guys sure are asking for a lot." Wang Xian looked to Old Duan and said, "Old Duan, I'll take care of your injuries. It wouldn't be a problem." Old Duan's body stiffened. His eyes jerked open as he stared at Wang Xian with joy. "Brother, can you really cure my injuries?" "Not an issue." Wang Xian nodded his head and replied confidently. Thank you, brother." Old Duan answered in agitation, and his body was even trembling slightly from the excitement. At this moment, Yin Zhongyuan said emotionlessly, "If you cure the opponent of the Yin family, that would be equivalent to going against our Yin family. You have to think about it." "Oh, the Yin family." Wang Xian turned his head to Yin Zhongyuan and said with contempt, "So what if I'm going against the Yin family?" Hee hee. When Yin Zhongyuan saw Wang Xian's reaction, he smirked. Interesting. To see that there would be people willing to go against our Yin family. You will learn about the consequences soon. Is it? Wang Xian's eyes flickered and broke into laughter. He diverted his attention to the few martial artists and no longer paid attention to Yin Zhongyuan. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer? Let me do it. My injuries were sustained during a fight in the past. My 5 visceral and 6 bowel organs were torched by the devil technique. I once sought treatment from a disciple of medical saint sect, but he wasn't able to cure me completely. A middle-aged man stepped out and flipped up his clothes. At the location of his stomach, there was a clear palm mark. The palm mark was filled with densely packed black dots and looked horrifying. Black rain palm. When Feng Huazi saw the injury on the middle-aged man, he was shocked. Yeah, it is the black rain palm. The middle-aged man nodded his head bitterly. What a creepy injury. That looks horrifying. What kind of injury is that? If he was sent to our hospitals, we wouldn't even know where to start. The few hospital directors exchanged gazes and were clearly shocked. They were discussing softly about the injury among themselves. Feng Huazi took a few steps forward to take a closer look at the injuries. Your injuries must have been sustained 3 years ago. The one who fought you probably hadn't mastered Black Rain Palm. Otherwise, you would have died on the spot. However, looking at your current situation, you wouldn't live longer than 5 more years. You are not able to engage in vigorous activities currently, or might not even be able to bend your back because of the injuries, which makes you feel unbearable pain. At this moment, Feng Huazi looked just like an intelligent old man. He stood beside the middle-aged man and explained the symptoms to him like a real master in medical skills. Yes, Miracle Dr. Feng is right. When the middle-aged man heard Feng Huazi explain all the symptoms he was facing, he became agitated. Miracle Dr. Feng, is this curable? Incredible. Just a look at it, and he could tell all the symptoms of the injuries. He truly lives up to the name of the Sacred Followers Guild. His medical skills are so impressive. Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi's medical skills are godlike. This young man is finished. Feng Huazi's explanation was direct and succinct. This greatly impressed the crowd. Everyone, including the hospital directors and martial artists, were looking in awe at the confident Feng Huazi. This was why the Sacred Followers Guild was so powerful. TSK. My master is an incredible existence even within the Sacred Followers Guild. When the juvenile heard the exclamations of the crowd, he got pleasantly contented. He looked to Wang Xian and said, "We will cripple your arms in a while. Just accept your fate without resistance." Feng Huazi revealed a faint smile and looked at Wang Xian with contempt. In a proud and demeaning tone, he continued, "I can cure this guy. Brat, what about you?" Everyone's attention had fallen on Wang Xian at this moment. They were all here because of Old Qin and Old Shue's invitation. With regard to this young man, they weren't too confident about his capabilities. After all, Wang Xian was too young. Now that he was competing with an expert from the Sacred Followers Guild, no one really had high hopes of his chances of winning. It was especially so after they witnessed the medical skills of Feng Huazi a while ago. It was really impressive. Even Old Qin and Old Shui were looking at Wang Xian anxiously and weren't too certain that Wang Xian could win. After all, the one he was competing with was from the Sacred Followers Guild. If you were going to administer treatment, how would you go about it, and how long would you take? Wang Xian didn't answer Feng Huazi directly and posed a question instead. I'll be using acupuncture and medicinal herbs. I'm confident of curing him completely within 2 days. Brat, just stretch your arms over. Think about it. I'll give you another option. I hate that mouth of yours. You could use your tongue in exchange for your arms. Hee hee, that's a pretty good deal for you. Chapter 129. Challenge 4. 2 days. I can cure him in 2 days. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The Black Rain Palm is the famous poisonous palm art. Yet, Miracle Dr. Feng could treat this in 2 days. Is this the Sacred Followers Guild? They are really skillful. Miracle Dr. Feng, I have an internal illness. Can you take a look later on? What Feng Huazi said evoked emotions within those martial artists who were suffering from severe illnesses. If injuries sustained from Black Rain Palm can be healed within 2 days, that means their injuries could be treated easily. As for Wang Xian, they did not think Wang Xian was as capable as Miracle Dr. Feng. They were almost certain he would win the competition. Wang Xian, are you confident? Asked Old Qin and Old Shui with worry and mixed expressions. Wang Xian peered over his shoulder and gave them an assuring look. He beamed at the haughty Feng Huazi and said, I love your arms, though. After speaking, he turned back to the middle-aged man who suffered injuries from the Black Rain Palm. Sir, please follow me. 5 minutes. 5 minutes at most. Wang Xian threw a smiley glance at the middle-aged man before he walked up the stairs. The middle-aged man was stunned as he revealed a shocked expression when he looked at Wang Xian. 5 minutes. When Old Shui heard Wang Xian, his eyes were glowing. Gao Cheng, follow him. Yes, Old Shui. The middle-aged man's expression changed before he followed behind Wang Xian. What's going on? Can he really treat Gao Cheng in 5 minutes? No way. Black Rain Palm is a vicious palm art. To survive under the attack of this palm art is considered lucky. What can he do in 5 minutes? Everyone was in disbelief. Everyone knew how formidable the black rain palm was. Hence, no one believed that injuries could heal in 5 minutes. He's playing tricks. Feng Huazi stared coldly at Wang Xian. He would never believe Wang Xian when he said he could treat the black rain palm in 5 minutes. Even if it were Feng Huazi, he would need to consume some precious herbs before the injuries could heal. If he dares to play any tricks, we can just simply break his arms, Yin Zhongyuan said impassively, disregarding everyone in the room. Feng Huazi smiled and nodded as he waited quietly. Thump. 5 minutes passed very fast. Everyone looked over as soon as they heard the footsteps coming down the stairs. Wang Xian put on a smiling face as he walked down. Gao Cheng was following behind him with thrill and disbelief on his face. Incredible. It was incredible. Feng Huazi knit his eyebrow slightly as he stared at Gao Cheng. What's going on? A hospital director whispered and asked puzzledly. Feng Huazi of the Sacred Followers Guild, come over. Let me break your arms. Wang Xian widened his lips with a taunting look. Her. Everyone was caught by surprise as they looked suspiciously at Wang Xian and Gao Cheng. Seeing that everyone's attention was gathered on him, Gao Cheng could not hide his excitement and exclaimed loudly, I've recovered. I'm fully recovered. This is impossible. Feng Huazi glared at Gao Cheng and gritted his teeth. This is totally impossible. If both of you dare to play any trick on me, don't blame me for being ruthless. It's somewhat impossible to recover in 5 minutes. Did they collude? Even so, they can't deceive the Sacred Followers Guild and Yin Zhong. Not only did Feng Huazi find it hard to believe, but the rest of the people did too. This is great. I really recovered. Gao Cheng lifted his shirt up, revealing his belly where the trace of black rain palm had disappeared. How did it happen? It really disappeared. Gone. It's gone. 5 minutes. 5 minutes was all it took to treat the black rain palm. Everyone was looking at Gao Cheng's belly in disbelief. It was healed. Too fascinating. Haha, look. I really recovered. I finally recovered from the injury that has been torturing me for 3 years. As Gao Cheng exclaimed, he patted his stomach with excitement. There's no such thing as impossible. You're just a piece of trash. You still have the cheek to challenge with that petty skill of yours? Wang Xian sneered at Feng Huazi. Now, can we fulfill our bet? Impossible. I don't believe you can treat the black rain palm within 5 minutes. No way, he exclaimed in disbelief. Seeing that Gao Cheng had fully recovered, Feng Huazi was looking dreadful. Absolutely impossible. No way. Why not? Miracle Dr. Wang deserves his name. He purged the toxic of the black rain palm with his hand in 5 minutes. Look, look. Gao Cheng rebuked in a loud voice as if he was a loyal fan of Wang Xian. His body jerked as he released an imposing vibe of a martial artist. Haha, my cultivation is restoring rapidly after I recovered. Within days, I will be able to return to my peak condition. He really recovered. It's confirmed. He's recovered. 5 minutes. He used only 5 minutes to treat Gao Cheng. He's more formidable than the Sacred Followers Guild. Where did this mysterious young man learn his medical skills from? He is highly proficient in it. The crowd was witnessing the entire incident with shocked faces. Some were surprised. Some were exclaiming in disbelief. The rest had respect for Wang Xian from the bottoms of their hearts. The hospital directors were looking at Wang Xian with great admiration in their eyes. In medical learning, there is no first nor last. Whoever possesses the skill will win. Wang Xian, with a skill that surpassed the Sacred Followers Guild, was worthy of their respect. Let's materialize the bet now. Wang Xian looked at Feng Huazi and said coldly, given the reputation of the Sacred Followers Guild, I'm sure you will not go back on your word. Feng Huazi had a mixed expression with a slight tinge of fear in his eyes. The bet was to cripple both arms. He trembled, as he did not expect he would lose to a miserable extent. But Feng Huazi dared not go back on his word because of the reputation of the Sacred Followers Guild. He believed the other party would spread the word once he broke his promise. By then, the The Sacred Followers Guild would cripple him without any helping hands. No one can humiliate the Sacred Followers Guild. Yin Zhongyuan darkened his expression gradually. It was beyond his expectations that Feng Huazi would lose to a nobody. He had followed Feng Huazi here because Feng Huazi saved the old man and his family. He did not anticipate such a situation now. Give me face and let this matter rest. Yin Zhongyuan lifted his chin and looked at Wang Xian. I can't forgive your ill manners just now. Give the Yin family face. As Yin Zhongyuan spoke, he exuded a powerful vibe from his body. Everyone around him took a deep breath. Yin Zhongyuan spoke for the Yin family. He was protecting Feng Huazi. In Rivertown, the Yin family could not be stopped. Scram. Chapter 130, Return of the King. Scram. Wang Xian shouted, and his voice exploded in the medical hall. When Wang Xian finished his word, the entire medical hall quietened down. They were looking at Wang Xian in shock. The one he was chiding was from the Yin family. When Yin Zhongyuan heard his words, his face stiffened and his expression turned heavy gradually. He stared at Wang Xian with killing intent. I dare you to repeat yourself. Yin Zhongyuan gritted his teeth and threatened, word by word. Can't you understand the human language? Wang Xian replied in the same manner coldly, but with the intention of mocking Yin Zhong. The atmosphere in the medical hall chilled rapidly. Everyone held their breath as they witnessed this shocking scene. Seeing this, old Qin said with an angry expression, "A loss is a loss. Could it be that you were trying to impose your will on others?" He looked to the few hospital directors, and his eyes were filled with displeasure. The hospital directors were stunned and understood that old Qin wasn't pleased with how they had reacted previously. One of them gritted his teeth and said, "A contest of medical skills shouldn't be affected by age and authority. The winner has the right to decide the fate of the loser. These rules have to be followed." Yes, the other hospital directors seconded and nodded their heads. This group had no personal view and would go whichever way the situation dictated. Now that Feng Huazi had lost, they naturally knew where they should stand. As for the rest of the martial artists, they didn't speak a word. Nonetheless, all of them had their attention on Feng Huazi, Yin Zhongyuan, and his clique. What they were implying was crystal clear. The rules were the rules, and the Yin family still did not possess the strength to break them. With the Qin family around, the Qin family would at least have the right to speak up. Great, great. Yin Zhongyuan looked across coldly before landing on Wang Xian. Just you wait. Now that you've offended the Yin family, I'll let you know what is worse than death. Can you represent the Yin family? Wang Xian smiled and stared at Yin Zhongyuan. What I've said are the words of the Yin family. If you dared to touch Miracle Dr. Feng Huazi today, I'd guarantee the Bohai Sea would have another corpse. Yin Zhongyuan threatened. All right, understood. Wang Xian nodded his head. Brat, if you dared to touch my master, you wouldn't even know how you die. The juvenile behind Feng Huazi stared at Wang Xian with his bloodshot eyes. He had also not expected his master to have lost to this brat. Wang Xian looked emotionlessly at the juvenile before turning to the silent Feng Huazi. He mocked, "Stretch out your arms. Otherwise, I'll publicize this throughout the underworld and let others determine how reputable the Sacred Followers Guild is." Hee. You. Feng Huazi stared fiercely at Wang Xian. He had not expected Wang Xian to be still thinking of touching him after Yin Zhongyuan had threatened him. Yin Zhongyuan heard Wang Xian. His expression turned even colder, and he gave him a death stare. The complexion of the juvenile by the side had turned pale. I guess I have to do it myself, Wang Xian added as he stretched his hands over and placed them on Feng Huazi's arms. Feng Huazi's body shivered slightly. The consequences aren't something you can bear. Yin Zhongyuan stared at Wang Xian and reminded him. Wang Xian was unmoved. He smiled radiantly and stared at Feng Huazi. You wouldn't dare. I, Feng Huazi, have cured countless experts. If you dared to cripple me... Feng Huazi rambled on with a hideous look. However, before he could complete his sentence, he gradually lost all feeling in his arms. His face stiffened and fear gripped him. If I crippled you, Wang Xian smiled and continued staring at him. Then as a doctor, you wouldn't be able to use your arms anymore. In the future, you would have to use your legs to administer acupuncture for others. Yeah, that would be an incredible scene. Wang Xian gradually retracted his arms as he spoke. He smiled and looked across the group. I won't be sending you guys off then. How dare you really crippled my arms? How dare you? Feng Huazi's body shivered vigorously. To his horror, he could no longer sense the existence of his arms. It was as though they had been wiped off unknowingly. This sent a chill down his spine. If the arms were crippled by the common way, he still could rely on his medical skills to restore them quickly. However, he couldn't sense what the issue was with his arms at all currently. In fact, he couldn't even sense his arms. Great. You are still the first one who wouldn't show respect to the Yin family. Yin Zhongyuan clenched his fist tightly, smirked, and stared at Wang Xian. Not going off? What are you still staying for? Wang Xian looked at them and mocked. My arms. I'll remember this. Feng Huazi stared at Wang Xian. His face had turned a little pale as he turned around and left. You better remember it. Your arms can't be cured. Rest assured. My medical techniques in the field of osteopathy are still very good. Wang Xian added this in bad taste as he saw the back view of Feng Huazi leaving. Feng Huazi stumbled and almost fell to the ground if not for the juvenile beside him who held on to him. Hee hee. Wang Xian laughed and had a satirical smile. Brother Wang Xian, you just offended the Sacred Followers Guild and Yin family completely. You have to be careful from now on. Seeing that Feng Huazi and the group had left, old Qin reminded in a solemn tone. Yin family. Wang Xian's eyes shimmered and revealed a smirk. Yin family's strength is truly terrifying. Even if all the other ancient martial arts families allied together, they wouldn't be as strong as the Yin family. An old member of Yin family reached martial artist level 9 20 years ago. He's probably even stronger now. Now that you have offended the Yin family, things will get troublesome. Old Shui spoke with a heavy heart. When he had just arrived at Rivertown, Yin family was already a great and giant force in Rivertown. If he had to go against the Yin family, he would have no confidence at all. Just a few days ago, the Yin family announced that they would be returning. They have invited all the martial artists of the underworld to attend the Yin family's banquet in 2 more days. Although it was said to be a banquet, it is also a form of declaration. A declaration of their return. They are announcing to all that the King of Rivertown will be returning. I dare to bet that during this banquet, they will show their strength and even resort to violence to warn the rest. Moreover, the ancient martial arts families in Rivertown will experience a major reshuffling when the time comes. There will probably be many families who would choose to go under the umbrella of the Yin family. At the side, old Duan added with a solemn face. He'd had conflicts with the Yin family previously. Now that the Yin family was returning, it would definitely be a huge blow to the Duan family. Reshuffling. Old Shui heaved a sigh. When he knew that the Yin family would be returning, he immediately invited Old Qin and Wang Xian. This was done in the hope of strengthened numbers, and to deal with the changes happening to Rivertown in the future. Looking at it now, everything was hard to tell. The day after tomorrow? Wang Xian heard their conversation and a faint smile appeared on his face. Announcing the return of the King of Rivertown for the future? In that case, Wang Xian would like to make an announcement too. The descent of the king. As to who would be the real king, he would really like to know. Chapter 131. Choice. Wang Xian, do you want to go into hiding for the time being? Old Qin suggested in the medical hall as he was worried when he saw Wang Xian deep in thought. Wang Xian was back from his daze. He shook his head and grinned. Just a Yin family. Since they are announcing the return of the king, I'll check them out the day after tomorrow to see how the king returns. As he spoke, he widened a suggestive smile on his face. Old Qin was startled. while old Shui was looking at Wang Xian, stunned. Okay, after a morning of eventful happenings, it's noon now. I'll treat everyone to the first-grade restaurant for lunch. Anyone who needs treatment can queue up in the afternoon. Wang Xian changed the subject and beamed at everyone. Miracle Dr. Wang, we should be the ones who buy you lunch. Yes, we should. Let's go. We can have our lunch first and wait to get treated. It's not urgent now. The surrounding martial artists answered readily. All of them suffered from internal injuries. Since they'd finally met such a skillful doctor, they must show their respect and enthusiasm. Given that they were not some powerful martial artists, it would be extremely difficult to invite doctors from the Sacred Followers Guild or Medical Saint sect to treat them. They might not have many doctors, but each of them had a strong network. They would ignore those who did not have a background or could not afford their medical fees. Even for old Duan, he could not invite the Sacred Followers Guild or the Medical Saint sect to treat his injuries. This was also their proud capital. It's okay. I own the restaurant next door. I'll buy everyone lunch to thank you all in advance for referring business to me in the future. Wang Xian chuckled and brought them to the first-grade restaurant for a delicious treat. A total of 5 martial artists required treatment in the afternoon. Among them, old Duan had the most severe injury. Hence, Wang Xian consumed much of his dragon energy. The other 4 were treated easily. Thanks, Wang Xian. Thank you. Let me know if you need any help in the future. After old Duan recovered from his injury, he was full of gratitude. You're welcome. I was paid. No need to thank me. Wang Xian waved him off. But sometimes, money cannot necessarily cure my injury. I still have to thank you. Old Duan bowed and said with gratitude. You can come back to me again if you need any help, said Wang Xian as he lifted old Duan up. Then, I shall not disturb you further. Old Duan nodded and left after a few polite remarks. Wang Xian was grinning as he looked at the medical hall after everyone left. The medical hall makes the most profitable business, Wang Xian exclaimed. He had received a total of 35 million for his medical fees after treating 5 people. Out of that, 20 million came from old Duan, as he consumed much more dragon energy. Those who were treated, including old Duan, wanted to befriend Wang Xian after they had seen his formidable skills. This allowed Wang Xian to realize the benefits of being a skillful doctor. The Sacred Followers Guild is so prideful and arrogant because they have a powerful network. Just Feng Huazi alone can get Yin family to strike for them. How strong can the entire Sacred Followers Guild be? When Wang Xian thought of the vicious look on Feng Huazi's face, he knew he had completely fallen out with him and the Sacred Followers Guild. Regardless of Sacred Followers Guild and the Yin family, so long as you provoke me. Radiance flickered in Wang Xian's eyes. He had made a decision. First, he would get rid of the Yin family. A week is over. I should be back in school. Wang Xian was sitting down, pondering over some thoughts. When he looked at the time, it was already 5 o'clock. He stood up slowly and went back to school. His 1-week leave was up after spending 3 days in the sea and 4 days in the medical hall. But still, Wang Xian could not attend school because he would have to stay in the medical hall. When he was back in school, surrounded by students with hands full of books, Wang Xian suddenly felt that he was not of the same world as these people. Buzz. Buzz. At this time, Wang Xian's phone rang. He took it out and froze after looking at it. 2 messages from 2 people. One was Guan Shuqing, and the other was Lan Qingyue. The messages had similar content, asking if he was in school and if he wanted to have dinner together. Wang Xian hesitated as he was unsure of how to reply to their messages. He could not possibly go out with the 2 of them. Should he reject both? In that case, he would feel apologetic to the 2 girls. Hey, isn't that Wang Xian? The guy who was fancied by the 2 goddesses, Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue? Yes, how lucky he is to have earned the hearts of the 2 beautiful goddesses. I wonder who he will choose. Should be Lan Qingyue. After all, she had an influential family background. If he marries Lan Qingyue, he can enjoy the rest of his life. That's true. Guan Shuqing pales in her family background. Otherwise, she's not a bad choice. There's a post on the school forum about who Wang Xian will pick in the end. Guan Shuqing had more than 1,000 supporters, while Lan Qingyue had over 5,000 supporters. After all, Lan Qingyue has a better family background. Suddenly, Wang Xian overheard the two girls whispering next to him. Wang Xian was stunned. The school forum's post. He frowned deeply as he fished out his phone. Indeed, there was a post regarding his choice between Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. When he saw the post, he was not feeling prideful at all. Instead, a dreadful look surfaced on his face. He had not felt the way he did now when the people in the school forum called him a scumbag. That was because he did not care about his own reputation. But now, two girls were involved. Getting all the finger-pointing would upset the two girls. In particular, Guan Shuqing. After all, he and Guan Shuqing shared a long history. Who? Wang Xian took a deep breath. He fancied Guan Shuqing. Lan Qingyue, too. Forget it. Not many people were infatuated. Wang Xian was not one of them either. But he knew that he had to make a choice. Wang Xian took out his phone. He hesitated before he replied to Guan Shuqing. Sure. Where are you? I'll look for you. Then he looked at Lan Qingyue's message and replied, Hey, I'm having dinner with Guan Shuqing tonight. Sorry. A choice. A tough decision. But this was a choice he needed to make. If not, what else could he do? Make both of them his girlfriends? Would they agree? Date both of them together? Wouldn't they mind? Heartbroken? Apparently, it was not easy to date both girls. If he did not make the decision when he needed to, he would suffer the consequences. So he chose Guan Shuqing, whom he was very fond of and had been together with him for a longer time. Chapter 132. Mr. Feng. Did he choose Guan Shuqing? In one of the rooms of the girls' dormitory block, Lan Qingyue's already pale face was filled with misery. I just need a hug and some comforting words right now, but who would have expected? Although I have thought of the possibility of you choosing him, why does it have to be right now? Lan Qingyue was in a daze, and her complexion was as white as a sheet. Wang. At this moment, her phone rang. She saw that it was from her dad as she picked it up in a daze. Qingyue, we need you back to handle the company matters. If we can't get past this hurdle, our Lan family will be in deep trouble. The solemn voice of her father sounded from the other end of the phone. Lan Qingyue was hesitating. Dad, why don't I just drop out of school and focus on managing the family business? Lan Qingyue's father pondered for a moment before replying slowly, All right. You wouldn't really learn anything from school anyway. It's fine if you were coming back to manage the company in advance. Yeah. Lan Qingyue was a genius. When she was 14 years old, she demonstrated exceptional business acumen. At that time, she followed her grandparents and stayed within the company for the majority of the days. Gradually, through learning and understanding, her talents in business were quickly developed. When she was 17 years old, she was already able to complete a project on her own. Lan Qingyue's performance greatly shocked everyone in the Lan family. Subsequently, the master of the Lan family decided that he would hand over the Lan family's business to Lan Qingyue for management. After a few years, she had further consolidated her position as the successor of the family business. However, it wasn't that simple to manage a family corporation with a market capitalization of close to $10 billion. After hanging up the phone, she looked around her room blankly and flipped through some photographs in her phone gallery. Do I not have any chance now? A teardrop flowed out slowly from her eyes. Lan Qingyue rested her head and arms on the table, and her shoulders were shaking slightly from sobbing. Isn't that Guan Shuqing and Wang Xian? They are eating together again. Yeah. Look, they are really intimate. Could it be that Wang Xian has gotten together with Guan Shuqing? Really? Wang Xian has chosen Guan Shuqing? If he has chosen Guan Shuqing, it must be true love. After all, Lan Qingyue's qualifications are too good. Within the school, when the students saw Guan Shuqing eating with Wang Xian, they were all shocked. They had not expected Wang Xian's final choice to be Guan Shuqing. Xiao Xian, when do you think we can go for a picnic again? I really miss the time when we had a picnic at the Eastern Hill. Hee hee. Guan Shuqing smiled radiantly at Wang Xian as she spoke. Picnic? That's easy. If you like, we can have it tonight. Nope. I have already eaten tonight. I'll get fat if I eat again. In that case, let's do it tomorrow. I'll get some large lobsters, crabs. Wang Xian chatted happily with Guan Shuqing. After they finished their meal, the two of them took a walk around the school again. Guan Shuqing had likely sensed something and took the initiative to hold Wang Xian's hand. Wang Xian smiled and walked around the school with her. The two of them were just like any couple as they strolled within the school. The news of Wang Xian choosing Guan Shuqing was also revealed on the school forum by others, causing a huge uproar. I really had not expected Wang Xian's final choice to be Guan Shuqing. This must be true love. Lan Xingyue's family is so rich, and yet he has chosen Guan Shuqing. What a man! Wang Xian has made the right choice this time. If he can give up a girl with a superb family background and choose to be with Guan Shuqing will likely be very blessed. The news of Wang Xian getting together with Guan Shuqing was shocking to many people. However, there was still a large number of students who were impressed with Wang Xian. The next day, other than staying in his medical hall, Wang Xian spent all his remaining time with Guan Shuqing. He had also thought it through. Since he had made his decision, he shouldn't try to hide the facts. However, he sat within his dormitory room in shock on the third day. Old Wang, Lan Xingyue has suspended her studies and has submitted her resignation as the vice president of the student council. I heard that she wanted to drop out of school initially, but the school has retained her name in the school's name roll. Nonetheless, she is unlikely to come back in the future, Wang Dehai said to Wang Xian. Looking at his reaction, Wang Dehai shook his head. I had not expected Lan Xingyue to be so in love with you. You are a really lucky guy. Wang Xian frowned. He took out his phone but hesitated. In the end, he did not contact her. Lan Xingyue's sudden drop out of school frustrated him a little. Bam! At this moment, the door of the room was kicked open suddenly with a loud bang. Who's that? Don't you know how to be softer? Wang Dehai turned around and cried out unsatisfactorily. However, when he saw the figure by the door, he was slightly surprised. At the door, an extremely handsome man was standing there. He had a pair of eyes, which inclined upwards, and thin lips which made him look extremely beautiful. That's right, he was beautiful. This was an extremely beautiful and exquisite-looking man. Wang Dehai opened his mouth slightly. You are Mr. Feng. Mr. Feng was a very mysterious person in the school. All the students only knew that he was so good-looking that he made the other male students jealous, and was so beautiful that even girls envied his beauty. His family was extremely rich, and he rarely appeared in school. Among the girls, they referred to him as Mr. Feng, a rather elegant name. You must be Wang Xian. Mr. Feng didn't pay attention to Wang Dehai and stared fervently at Wang Xian with his sharp eyes. Wang Xian looked at the extremely good-looking guy at the door and roared impatiently, Speak. I just returned yesterday, and I had not expected Lan Xingyue to have dropped out of school because of you. Therefore, I decided to investigate about you. To my surprise, you are really outstanding. Mr. Feng walked over slowly with his eyes fixed on Wang Xian. It was as though there were nothing and no one around him. I'm really surprised to learn that there is a man as outstanding as you. Mr. Feng was observing him as he complimented Wang Xian. However, you've made two mistakes. He wasn't bothered by Wang Xian's silence. First, you shouldn't have made Lan Xingyue fall in love with you. Second, you shouldn't have offended my Yin family. I'd like to invite you to a place tonight, he continued. As he spoke, an invitation card appeared in his hands. He flicked it lightly, and it landed on the table beside Wang Xian. I'll make this an unforgettable night for you. If you don't come, you better watch out for your relatives and friends. Mr. Feng turned around and left with a huge smile after completing his sentence. Everyone in the school knew that Mr. Feng was fond of Lan Xingyue. However, Lan Xingyue didn't have the same feelings at that time. Subsequently, Mr. Feng for unknown reasons, had rarely gone to the school. Now that he had returned, he received two pieces of negative news. He truly appreciated the fact that there was such an outstanding man in Rivertown, as he felt that there was finally someone he could relate to. However, it was destined that one of them would disappear forever from Rivertown. Wang Xian looked at his back view, and a faint smile appeared on his face. It's the Yin family again? Threatening me? His mood wasn't great to start with because of the Lan Qingyue incident. Wang Xian took out his phone and called Mo Qinglong. He only told him 4 words. Dragon sect, fall in. Chapter 133, Craziness Before Destruction, 1. Craziness Before Destruction. Whenever Wang Xian fought with someone in the past, he did not prefer talks. Instead, he struck immediately. But this time, he wanted to have some fun. The Yin family had been threatening him time and time again. If he did not let them have a taste of despair, he would be letting himself down. Wang Xian wanted them to fall, as heavy as they could when they were at the top. Dragon King. Harmonious voices sounded off in front of him. Wang Xian opened his eyes and saw 52 Dragonians gathered before him. Mo Qinglong, his disciple Mo Yuan, and 50 Dragonians. Mo Qinglong had already hit the inborn realm while his disciple, Mo Yuan, was a level 9 martial artist. The rest of the remaining Dragonians remained at level 7. Level 7 was considered high in Rivertown. The current old Xiao was only a martial artist at level 7, but the Xiao family was ranked 4th in Rivertown. Old Duan was only a level 8 martial artist. Level 7 Dragonians may not fight 2 levels above them, but they could easily deal with level 8 martial artists. As for level 9 Mo Yuan, he could defeat half-step to inborn, but he's still not a match for inborn expert. As for Mo Qinglong, he's invincible to the inborn experts. Wang Xian looked at the Dragonians and pondered. The strength and defense capability of the Dragonians was not any average martial artist could compare with. In the future, they could even fight 2 or 3 levels above them, once they activated the divine dragon bloodline within them. With such a strength, it is good enough to deal with the Yin family. Wang Xian looked at the Dragonians and burst out softly, "Follow my orders today. Our target is the Yin family. Today it's your first appearance. I hope all of you will not disappoint me." "Yes, Dragon King." All the Dragonians answered with bountiful fighting spirit. "Follow me and wait for my orders." The Yin family was the #1 ancient martial artist family in Rivertown. They were known as the domineering giant in this place. 20 years ago, the Yin family announced that they would go into seclusion to avoid chaos. They stayed low profile and ignored all underworld and society affairs. A few days ago, the Yin family announced their comeback. Their comeback stirred a great commotion in the entire Rivertown. In particular, in the ancient martial arts circle. Their comeback marked a huge shuffle in the rankings. 20 years ago, the Yin family had 3 level 9, 6 level 8, and dozens of level 7 martial artists. With such strength, the family was an invincible existence in Rivertown at that time. And they remained invincible at present even with their strength from 20 years ago. Now, 20 years had passed, and the Yin family could only be more powerful. The comeback of the Yin family struck fear into all the martial artists and the martial art families in Rivertown. Today, it was the 9th day since the Yin family made their comeback. At the same time, it was the day they declared their return formally. The Yin family invited all the martial artists in Rivertown to the Yin family's mountain villa. Everyone knew their intention. The declaration of the king's return. Yin family's mountain villa was situated before a summit near the sea known as Mount Qingfeng. The entire Mount Qingfeng belonged to the Yin family. Hence, the Yin family's mountain villa was worthy of its name. The villa was extremely lively in the evening. The martial artists and the martial art families in Rivertown were not a lot, but were made up of 300 to 400 people. All the martial artists were moving to the Yin family in groups. Some of them had grave expressions, some were feeling uneasy. Some were looking thrilled. "When will Wang Xian be here?" asked old Duan to old Shui in a group of more than 20 people. "I called him just now. He should be here soon. Let's go in. Old Shui replied slowly with a solemn face. Wang Xian did not give any face to the Yin family. I'm afraid today. Old Duan was a little worried. He should have his own plans. Old Shui was contemplating too. He could not tell Wang Xian's thoughts. Given his understanding of Wang Xian and the imposing vibe that he released occasionally, he could sense the domineering strength in Wang Xian. Wang Xian was full of mystery. Since he dared to show up for this event, he should have some backings. But all these were just his conjectures. All the families and martial artists in Rivertown are here. No one dares to turn the Yin family down. I wonder what they will be doing or what announcement they will be making at this event, Old Duan said as he tensed up. We'll take one step at a time. There are so many martial artists in Rivertown. I doubt the Yin family can take things too far. Old Shui pondered and answered him as he walked. Her? Isn't that? Suddenly, an exclamation was heard. Old Shui and Old Duan peered over their shoulders immediately. They raised their eyebrows. Hu family? The one beside the master of Hu family is Whirling Blade Hu Fei. Is Hu Fei part of the Hu family? This is possible. Hu Fei is ranked 7th in Rivertown. Hu Fei did not rise in Rivertown, but in the far north. No one has linked Whirling Blade Hu Fei with the Hu family. From the looks of it now, unexpected, totally unexpected. Hu Fei is a level 9 martial artist. What did the Hu family bring Hu Fei here for? To strengthen the Hu family, or are they together with the Yin family? Old Shui and Old Duan were looking even more solemn than ever when they saw the sudden appearance of the level 9 martial artist. The water in Rivertown got murkier. No one could predict what would happen at tonight's dinner. All the martial artists entered the ancient-looking villa. The villa looked retro, as if it was one of those secluded villas in the martial arts movies. Two burly, middle-aged men were standing on the left and right of the entrance. From the vibes they gave off, all the martial artists that streamed in had grave expressions on their faces. Even the gatekeepers are level 5 martial artists. The Yin family is too domineering. All the power of all martial artists in Rivertown combined may not be comparable to the Yin family. People around exchanged whispers. Stepping on the red carpet, everyone strolled into the villa. The villa was huge, with little bridges and streams, looking picturesque. There was an open space all the way to the back. It was filled with tables and chairs as though it was a sect gathering from the ancient underworld. On the tables were fruits and food. 2 striking flags were placed at the sides with words that said, "Return of the Hidden Dragon, roaming the 9 skies." The words were magnificent. Guests can sit according to their strengths and rankings. A steward look-alike middle-aged man stood in front and gave everyone the instructions. His hands were behind his back, with the imposing manner of a level 8 martial artist. Everyone took a look and headed to their seats after a slight hesitation. Starting from the second family in Rivertown, Ren family, Hu family, Duan family, Shui family, etc., they sat in their own seats. Half an hour before the start of the Yan's dinner event, everyone was here early. The steward observed the situation with a glimmer of satisfaction on his face. This is right. When the Yin family returns, all of them must submit to them. Chapter 134, Craziness Before Destruction, 2. 7:30 p.m. The tables set up at the Yin family's Mountain Villa training field was filled with martial artists. Martial artists from Rivertown sat in 2 rows according to their strength. Those who were at the forefront were all top-ranking families. However, there were 8 seats placed horizontally across the middle. These seats were for the Yin family. The Yin family was very particular about the setting of this banquet and was being extremely arrogant. 2 straight vertical rows for the various martial artists of Rivertown and a horizontal row at the front for the Yin family. This setting was an emulation of the local authority in ancient times. The king would be seated in the middle, and his officials would sit in 2 rows in front of him. Everyone could tell that the Yin family was seeing the other families in Rivertown as their officials, while they were the king. There was still half an hour until the start of the banquet, Seeing that everyone had arrived, the Yin family felt satisfied. At approximately 7:35 p.m., members of the Yin family started walking in from the entrance to the banquet one after another. The 6 of them instantly attracted the attention of everyone. In the middle of the group, an old man held a walking stick with a dragon head at the top. He had a head of gray hair, but the looks of a child. One would easily mistake him for a middle-aged man of 40 to 50 years old. To the side of this old man was an extremely good-looking juvenile wearing white. The juvenile had pearl-white teeth and thin, red lips which made him look extremely beautiful. Beside the 2 of them were 2 old men. They had burly statures and looked across the surroundings as though they were far superior to the rest. Further to each side were 2 middle-aged men. The old man in the middle must be the leader of the Yin family, Yin Gukong. He reached martial artist level 9 20 years ago. I wonder if he has taken that final step. The oldest generation of the Yin family included Yin Gukong, Yin Gufeng, and Yin Guli. Among them, Yin Gukong is the strongest. Those 2 middle-aged men are Yin Zhongyuan and Yin Zhongwen. Both of them are level 8 martial artists. Together with their martial artist level 8 butler, they still have 3 other level 8 martial artists who aren't here today. They are too strong, really too strong. Even if Yin Gukong hasn't made the breakthrough, the strength that the Yin family has displayed is enough to overwhelm everyone here today. The martial artist families and martial artists, who were seated at the side, looked at the 6 people in shock as they walked towards the seats at the forefront. When the 6 of them reached their seats, they turned around and looked down on the surrounding crowd. Yin Gukong was holding on to a dragon head walking stick and shouted, 20 years ago, our Yin family announced our retirement and stayed away from the matters of the underworld. On this very day, 20 years later, our Yin family is announcing our return. The reason why we have invited everyone is to announce this. 20 years. We have been missing from the underworld of Rivertown for 20 years. Today, our Yin family is back. Yin Gukong lifted his head slightly and looked across the 2 flags erected at 2 ends. Return of the Hidden Dragon, roaming the 9 skies. As he spoke, a faint smile appeared on his face. I'm grateful to everyone who could attend the Yin family's banquet. Please enjoy the food and alcohol today. However, our Yin family has a few things to announce before we start. It's coming. The entire banquet hall was silent. When they heard Yin Gukong, their hearts skipped a beat. What was coming next would affect everyone's interests. Yin Gukong looked across the crowd and showed a faint smile. First, the Yin family hasn't participated in the quarrels of Rivertown in the last 20 years. Since we are announcing our return, it's only natural for us to collect some interest. Experts rule the underworld. Our Yin family won't rob you guys of your interest. However, we will be collecting 20% of your resources. What? 20%? Before Yin Gukong had finished his words, a middle-aged man couldn't help but exclaim, "Wait for me to finish." Yin Gukong stared at the middle-aged man and said plainly. The middle-aged man immediately held his breath and did not dare to say another word. The surrounding crowd turned solemn as they waited for Yin Gukong. Second, now that the underworld is changing and the competition for resources has gotten fiercer, our Yin family welcomes any families who wish to become our affiliates. Third, ancient martial arts families in Rivertown have been fighting over their own interests all along. I feel that we should get together and take a common stand against outsiders for survival. Anyone has any objections? Ruthless, ruthless, ruthless. Each announcement was more ruthless than the previous. First, collecting 20% of interest from every family. Second, recruiting affiliates to the Yin family. Third, becoming the king of Rivertown. In other words, it was similar to the ruler of the underworld in ancient times. When Yin Gukong completed his announcement, the surrounding martial artists and ancient martial arts families instantly turned solemn. The 3 announcements of Yin Gukong were simply ruthless. Our Xiao family supports the Yin family. Old Yin and Yin family strength are something that we all could see with our eyes. At this moment, a middle-aged man stood up and replied loudly. As he spoke, he looked across the crowd. Yin family's strength is miles ahead of us. If old Yin really wants to do a major reshuffling in Rivertown, who can possibly stop him? Old Yin is compassionate. The three conditions aren't too tough. Our Xiao family is willing to support the Yin family. I, Changgaoyang, am willing to join the Yin family. I've always held old Yin in high regards. I'm willing to join Yin family and be on the same boat as them. Our Wu family is willing to support the Yin family and become an affiliated family. One after another, leaders of various ancient martial arts families and martial artists stood up and announced their desire to join and support the Yin family. There were more than 24 people who stood up and pledged their loyalty to the Yin family. Haha, great. Now that you guys have joined our Yin family will naturally be kind to you. All of you will be part of the Yin family from today onwards. Yin Gukong looked on as he spoke to the 24 people. It is obvious that these people are bought over by the Yin family in advance. 20% of our interests, and to follow the instructions of the Yin family from here onwards? That's equivalent to treating us as his subordinates. That's too much. The conditions of the Yin family were truly too much. Some were agreeable, but the majority wasn't willing to accept. The Yin family wants to collect 20% of our interests the moment they announce their return, and have even demanded our obedience? That's no different from treating us as their subordinates. The few families, which were seated at the forefront, exchanged glances. Old Yin, aren't you too overbearing with your three conditions? Although the Yin family is strong, aren't you a little too over yourself by demanding to collect our interests and treating us like your subordinates? Our Hu family is just a small family. All we are looking for is to survive steadily. We will not be participating in this. Seated in the first row, Hu Fei, who sat beside the leader of the Hu family, stood up and spoke to Yin Gukong. The families in Rivertown have always sought their own development. Moreover, the relationships between ancient martial arts families in Rivertown are cordial. I don't think your concerns are warranted. The 20th generation leader of the Ren family, who was a level 9 martial artist, also stood up and made his decision known. Old Shui, Old Duan, and the leaders of a few other families also stood up. With regard to these three conditions, they couldn't agree. Haha, great. Great. It's all right. It's only natural that you guys won't agree. Yin Gukong laughed out loud. However, his expression turned vicious as he looked at the remaining martial artists. However, don't forget that we are part of the underworld. In the underworld, experts rule. If you guys don't agree, the Yin family can only suppress you guys and make you guys agree with violence. Chapter 135. Craziness Before Destruction 3. Domineering, confident, arrogant, with his dragon head walking stick in his hand, Yin Gukong swept his overbearing gazes across everyone. The crowd next to Yin Gukong overlooked the rest of the people, exuding powerful aura. Old Yin, aren't you a bully? We're just a small family. You don't have to be so pushy. I have been in the underworld for more than 10 years, and I still have some connections. The Hu family just wants to stay out of this. Hu Fei said to Yin Gukong and his clique sullenly. His purpose here this time was not to fight for any status. He just wanted to ensure the safety of the Hu family. He had seen situations like what happened tonight in the Yin family throughout his dozen years of underworld experience. When a powerful family rises, the rest of the families either submit to it or be destroyed. This was the norm in the underworld. Hence, he was here to protect the Hu family. Oh, is that so? Yin Gukong remained silent, but the young man next to him looked at Hu Fei with a teasing look. The Whirling Blade Hu Fei. I have heard of your name. It's just that I'm not sure if you have what it takes to be a legend. As the young man spoke, he slowly walked down from the table. Hu Fei frowned as he glared disgruntledly at that young man. I'm talking to old Yin. You're not fit to talk to me yet. Is that so? The young man swung his arms, and a belt sword appeared creepily in his hand. He lifted his chin slightly and said, Sacred Seas of Swords, Yin Feng, I want a taste of your blade. What? Sacred Seas of Swords? Hu Fei was stunned by Yin Feng, and he looked shocked. His eyes narrowed. You're from the sacred seas of swords? Heh, you can test me. Aren't you a level 9 martial artist? Yin Feng put on a smiling face and looked as though he was someone charming. Oh, you said you have many friends. Just nice. I have friends too. Haha, good to have friends around the world. At the same time, a gentle and feminine voice was heard. Subsequently, a fair-looking young man stood from the back of the row. The young man made a leap and presented himself in front of the Yin family at an unbelievable speed. He sat down on an empty seat there with a smile. It's a better seat here. What a broad vision. He's formidable. He's fast. This young man is at least a level 9 martial artist. Gosh, this young man is actually from Sacred Seas of Swords. Sacred Seas of Swords. Gone. I did not expect that young man to be someone from the Sacred Seas of Swords. The Yin family is unstoppable. The martial artists were differentiated by levels, as were the families and clans. In the underworld, the families and clans were split into third-class force and saint-class force. According to this classification, the Yin family was considered to be the second class, while the first-class force would already have inborn experts. As for the saint-class forces, it meant the families or clans possessed daunting influence and strength with over 10 inborn experts. Sacred Followers Guild, Medical Saint Sect, and Sacred Seas of Swords were colossuses. Even Yin Feng was a member of the Saint-class force, and no average families or sects could afford to get into his bad books. Hu Fei glared at Yin Feng with a dreadful expression. He did not expect that the young man before him was a disciple of the Sacred Seas of Swords. The Sacred Seas of Swords headquarters was located on an island in the sea. That island was one of the sacred lands of swordsmanship. The young man who was recruited by the Sacred Seas of Swords must be a rare talent. The sword versus the saber. Show me your skill. If you can defeat me, I'll let the Hu family leave this place. Otherwise, Yin Feng lifted his chin and wielded his belt sword like an agile snake. The sharp edge of the sword gave off a cold radiance. Haha, my grandson has made himself clear. Show us what you've got so that we know if you're qualified to defy the Yin family. Yin Gukong looked at his grandson and laughed out loud. It was a great blessing to the Yin family that this grandson of his was a disciple of the Sacred Seas of Swords. With his grandson around, they could suppress the entire Rivertown even without him making his moves. Fine. Hu Fei curled his fingers tightly and took out a sharp machete from his back. His impassive eyes were focusing on Yin Feng. I'm going to attack. Yin Feng drew his lips into a faint smile. His body made a quick move and attacked Hu Fei like a ghostly soul. His move is creepy. Indeed, the disciple of the Sacred Seas of Swords. Hu Fei narrowed his pupils and held his machete tight as he brought it down in front of him. The blade brought a whirling gust of wind. Piak! But when his machete came into contact with the sword, the belt sword wrapped it like an agile snake. It went for Hu Fei's hand and stabbed it. What a creepy sword! Hu Fei was appalled. He quickly drew his machete back, but even so, his palm got a wound that cut into his bone. The victory was determined within a stroke. What a daunting young man. He possesses a level 9 strength at such a young age. In the future, he can definitely be an inborn expert. Too dominating. He's only in his 20s. He is capable of defeating Hu Fei. This? Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. How can we resist the Yin family? Everyone was dumbfounded by the scene. At the same time, Hu Fei, who had exchanged more than 10 strokes, was horrified. All of a sudden, Yin Feng had another transparent soft sword in his hand. The sword went through Hu Fei's shoulder, and his face paled after this. You can exchange more than 20 strokes with me. Not bad. Yin Feng gave Hu Fei praise. Hu Fei's face was ashen. He stared at Yin Feng in disbelief with his body trembling. He was already a famous level 9 expert. Hu Fei, the leader of the Hu family, was panicked as he ran over. We admit our loss. We lost. What the leader of the Hu family said made everyone shudder. It's over. It's completely over. The Yin family is unstoppable. Bai family is willing to follow the lead of the Yin family. Gu family is willing to join hands and fight along with the Yin family. I, Gu Xinghe, am willing to join the Yin family. All of a sudden, some of the families and martial artists made their pledge to Yin family. The Yin family was too strong. They were so strong that they could easily suppress everyone. Since the sparring has begun, let's do a few more rounds to make those who refuse to submit to us surrender. Suddenly, Yin Zhongyuan, who was standing in front, made his speech. He walked out slowly and swept his cold gazes across a few people. He's trying to get rid of all his enemies. Beat the dog before the lion. The Yin family is eliminating those who have offended them. Everyone's face was pale when they saw Yin Zhongyuan approaching them. They were praying that he would not look for them. Old Shui and Old Duan saw Yin Zhongyuan looking over, and their faces were washed out. Both of them had grudges. Chapter 136, Descent of the King, 1. The Yin family sat there like how a king would. Every action or word from them was watched closely by the surrounding people. No one could stop them. And they wouldn't be stopped, just like the return of the king, the return of the true ruler. Don't push it. Seeing Yin Zhongyuan approaching him, his body was shivering slightly and fear started creeping on him. Behind him, the other Duan family members' faces were as white as sheets as they stood there helplessly. What do you mean by pushing it? This is just like any other ordinary sparring. My nephew is a martial artist level 9 expert, and so is Hu Fei. We are both at martial artist level 8. Yin Zhongyuan looked at old Duan tauntingly before turning to old Shui. Oh right, where's that brat, Wang Xian? Why isn't he here? Old Shui's heart sank and had a ghastly expression. He knew that his close relationship with Wang Xian on that day had completely angered the Yin family. I gave him an invitation letter, but it seems like he's not here today. Yin Feng looked around with derision. His medical skills are so great, and he has the capital to be proud. I still thought he would appear. It seems like he has disappointed me. He shook his head gradually and looked a little disappointed. However, I told him that if he wasn't here, he'd better watch out for his family and friends. Yin Feng stared at old Shui and smirked. Those who offend our Yin family will definitely deeply regret their actions. Come, let's spar. Yin Zhongyuan looked to old Xian and said plainly. Yin Feng waved his hand to signal for a martial artist level 7 expert from Yin family to step out. He then looked towards old Shui in contempt. All right, who's afraid of you? Come. Old Duan's face turned solemn. He clenched his fist tightly and walked to the middle of the field. Old Shui was equally solemn as he faced that expert from the Yin family. The crowd held their breath and looked at old Duan and old Shui with pity. They were currently the third and fourth strongest families in Rivertown, and were extremely strong existences in the entire Rivertown. However, in the face of the Yin family, they couldn't do anything but be manipulated by them. They could already foresee the Duan family and Shui family being erased from Rivertown in the near future. Haha, come. Yin Zhongyuan laughed heartily before launching his attack. This was originally a training field, and there was ample space. Cripple him. Tell Wang Xian that this is just the beginning. If he dares to be a coward, I'll let him experience a life worse than death. Yin Feng said to the martial artist from the Yin family. Yes, young master. That middle-aged man nodded his head and stared harshly at old Shui. Wang Xian? TSK. Contempt filled the eyes of Yin Feng. As one that was favored by the gods, he was spotted by an expert from the sacred seas of swords and had trained under him since he was young. When he was 18 years old, he was brought to the sacred seas island by his master. He had always been under the dazzling limelight when growing up. Soon, the Yin family would become the king of the entire Rivertown. At that time, he would be the crown prince of Rivertown. No one would dare to go against his words. So what if that brat has some medical skills? Crushing him would be as simple as crushing an ant. Yin Feng smirked and stared at old Shui. He looked to the surrounding crowd and spread his domineering aura towards them. On the training field, Yin Zhongyuan was engaged in an intense fight with Old Duan. Old Shui and the middle-aged man were also fighting with all they had. Nonetheless, it was clear that Old Duan and Old Shui were on the losing end. Since the Yin family had chosen them for the battles, they would definitely be confident about the outcome. It's over. Old Shui and Old Duan are probably going to be defeated soon. Yin Zhongyuan and the other martial artists are ruthless with each strike. The third and fourth strongest families are going to be crushed so easily? That's horrifying. The crowd looked attentively at the battle of these four people and discussed softly. Shui Jing, his father, and the members of the Duan family were all watching anxiously. Their faces were as white as sheets and their eyes were filled with despair. Arg! Arg! A piercing scream sounded and the crowd felt as if their hearts skipped a beat. Yin Zhongyuan's palm struck ruthlessly on the chest of Old Duan, causing it to sink in directly. It was an extremely brutal scene. As for Old Shui, his four limbs were crippled and he lay on the floor motionless. Even his elixir field had been crushed. A complete tragedy. As the two old men fell, it also represented the complete destruction of the Shui family and Duan family. Shui Jing and his father's eyes were bloodshot, and they stared at the members of the Yin family with deep hatred. The members of the Duan family were shivering in anger and clenching their fists tightly. However, they didn't dare to retaliate. Undermatch. Who still dares to go against our Yin family? At this moment, seeing that Old Duan and Old Shui were lying on the floor, Yin Gukong stood up slowly and shouted. He lifted the dragon head walking stick in his hand slowly. Who else? It was another angry roar. This roar was full of might, dominance, and the aura of an expert. When his dragon head walking stick landed on the ground, a low and dull sound propagated together with an invisible airwave towards the crowd. Instantly, everyone felt a faint sense of pressure. Half-step, inborn. The leader of the Ren family, who was seated in the front, instantly opened his eyes widely. His face was filled with horror. This aura was definitely from someone who was at the half-step to inborn realm. He had not expected Yin Gukong of the Yin family to make this step and achieve the realm of half-step to inborn. Half-step to inborn. Oh my gosh. He's at the half-step to inborn realm. Old Yin is a half-step to inborn expert. I'll surrender. I'll surrender. The surrounding martial artists were all shocked. We are willing to defer to the Yin family. We are willing to follow the commands of the Yin family from here onwards. The remaining martial artists, who had not made a stand previously, immediately bowed down. A disciple of sacred seas of swords and a half-step to inborn expert. What a horrifying family. They might very well become a first-class family in the future. The martial artists bowed down to show their will to submit. On the training field, Old Shui looked at the horrifying Yin family in despair. Even if Wang Xian was here right now, there would be no other way out. It's over. Haha, follow our Yin family and you will bask in glory in the near future. Yin Gukong looked at the crowd and laughed heartily. He then added 4 words. The king has returned. Let's give up. The leader of the Ren family felt helpless. He knew that the Yin family couldn't be stopped, and they couldn't oppose the Yin family. What was left for them would be only to surrender. Although he was unwilling, there was no other option for him. Just as he was about to lower his body, a voice sounded suddenly. The invitation letter stated that the banquet would start at 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. right now. It seems like someone has been impatient. It was unexpected, and the surrounding crowd was shocked. They turned around and looked at the entrance. A juvenile was walking towards them with a faint smile. There was a group of people following behind this juvenile, and they had a unique disposition around them. All of them had completely sealed their auras. One could not sense a shred of internal energy from them. It was as though they were ordinary people. Everyone was shocked to see this group of people. Within the Ren family crowd, Ren Jian saw a familiar figure. Looking at the old man beside the figure, his eyes constricted. He's here. Chapter 137, Descent of the King, 2. Within the group of 53 people, a young man was walking in the center with an elderly man following beside him. The young man put on a smile and swept his gaze across everyone in front of him casually. But when he saw the old man who was lying on the ground, his smile slowly disappeared. The banquet in the training field was plunged into silence as they watched the incoming group of people. "Who are you? How dare you make a scene in the Yin family's mountain villa?" A martial artist from Rivertown shouted at the top of his lungs. He wanted to please the Yin family, a bunch of small fries. How dare you even mess with the Yin family? The leader of the Bai family also did the same thing. The ones who just arrived were Wang Xian and his dragon sect. He swept his cold gaze across everyone and strolled to old Shui. "I didn't think you'd dare to come. I thought you were a coward." When Yin Feng saw Wang Xian bring his men over, he gave a faint smile after looking at them. Yin Feng did not take those people to heart. In fact, he felt that this was getting interesting. "It's only 8 o'clock now. I thought I was punctual, but I didn't expect the dinner to have been brought forward. You're not sticking to the time." Wang Xian threw an impassive look at Yin Feng, the so-called Mr. Feng in school, before he came to old Shui and squatted beside him. "Wang Xian, you're here. Be careful. The Yin family, they are just too strong," said old Shui with an ashen-looking face, in despair as he looked at Wang Xian. "Don't worry, old Shui. Leave this to me." Wang Xian placed his palm on old Shui and used his dragon energy to treat him. The 4 limbs of old Shui had been crippled, and his elixir field was destroyed. His life as a martial artist was completely ruined. But to Wang Xian, this was nothing. An immense dragon energy repaired all his injuries. Old Shui recovered speedily, and his expression was slightly different when he stared blankly at Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled at him and lifted him up from the floor slowly. Old Shui was injured because of him. However, he was not too late. He could still treat the injuries, and for those who hurt his friends, he could. Well, what powerful medical skills you have. No wonder the Sacred Followers Guild was defeated by you. Yin Feng's eyes brightened up when he saw old Shui stand up suddenly. "I'll give you a chance to atone for your mistake. Submit to the Yin family, and I can forgive your rude and imprudent behavior. I can also let your friends off." As he spoke, he was looking down his nose at Wang Xian, giving off immense confidence from within. Yin Feng stared at him as though he was looking at his prey. As the one favored by the gods, he had never regarded Wang Xian as his match. Wang Xian wore a smiling face and looked over. Yin Feng was overconfident such that he was arrogant. Wang Xian ignored Yin Feng. "Old Shui, who hurt you?" "I sparred with a martial artist from the Yin family, and I was crippled by him." Old Shui had a bitter look on his face. After all, it was his fault for being poor enough with his skills to get eliminated by a martial artist of the same level. "Sparring?" Wang Xian looked at the Yin family. "Since all of you like sparring, then spar with my people. Show me what the Yin family has got as the return of the king." "Haha, lad. I guess you want it the hard way. I've given you a chance. If you make me angry, you won't be able to bear the consequences." Yin Feng looked at Wang Xian, who disregarded him with a ferocious look. "Lad, with just these people of yours, we could destroy them without the Yin family. Old Yin, we'll cripple these arrogant fellows on your order." One by one, the martial artists and the families sought permission from Old Yin as they raised their cold voices at Wang Xian. Yin Gukong made a gesture, and all the martial artists went silent immediately. None of them dared to utter a word. "You are the fellow who offended our distinguished guest from the Sacred Followers Guild, disregarding the Yin family, aren't you?" Yin Gukong glared at Wang Xian, questioning him. "Your people injured my friend, right?" Wang Xian did not answer him. He also stared at Yin Gukong and questioned him back. "This is what happens when you go against the Yin family," Yin Gukong said without any emotions. "Very well. Since you like it this way, I'll do it your way." Wang Xian nodded impassively. He swept his gazes around and bellowed in a cold voice, "Who was the one who injured my friend? Step out now." "It's me, brat. I'll cripple him every time after you heal him." This is the consequence of offending the Yin family. The middle-aged man who fought with Old Shui spoke impassively to Wang Xian as he looked at Old Shui scornfully. Well then, let's spar. Wang Xian beckoned, and a Dragonian walked out in wide steps. Level 7 martial artist, Imo Shi-san? The Dragonian stared at that middle-aged man. Haha, challenging the Yin family? That's interesting. Upon seeing Wang Xian sending his people to fight with the Yin family, Yin Gukong laughed out. If so, it's only polite to accept the challenge. Let's play with them. The middle-aged man let out a cold laugh. He bowed to Yin Gukong before he stared at Imo Shi-san with his chin up. I'll destroy you. Given Yin Beiyun and Old Shui's combat skills, Yin Beiyun is at his peak as a level 7 martial artist. He could be even a level 8 martial artist. The art that he practiced was already formidable. Among the martial artists at level 7, and he's almost invincible. Yet this juvenile actually challenged him. He's obviously courting his own death. Who's that young guy who dares to provoke the Yin family? He even shows himself at this dinner today. He's asking for it. This fellow wasn't here just now, so he didn't witness how formidable the Yin family is. Now, he seems like a clown, copying the Yin family by asking for a spar. Hee, what a joke. Everyone stared at Wang Xian with disdainful looks. The less wit, the more courage. If he dared to provoke the mighty one, his outcome would be dreadful. Wang Xian listened to the surrounding discussion. Seeing the arrogant expression on the middle-aged man's face, Wang Xian revealed a playful look. Boom! Just when everyone was waiting for Imo Shi-san to be abused by Yin Beiyun, Imo Shi-san moved. A faint black aura was exuded from his body as he charged rapidly at the middle-aged man like some savage beast. Some capability he has. The middle-aged man squinted his eyes. He curled his fingers into a fist tightly and darted out. Trash! Boom! A faint voice sounded from the training ground, followed by a low groan. The middle-aged man from the Yin family flew out at a terrifying speed. His sunken chest could be seen in the air. Bam! The middle-aged man from the Yin family landed on the table heavily and lay there without moving. How is this possible? Everyone was taken aback. That middle-aged man was at the peak of level 7, but he was instantly killed by someone of the same level. This was unbelievable. Brat, how dare you lie to us? Damn you! Seeing his clan mate being killed in a split second, Yin Zhongyuan was furious. He would never believe that Imo Shi-san was only a level 7 martial artist. At his level, he could never achieve an instant kill. Chapter 138, Descent of the King, 3. Die. Twisting his body, Yin Zhongyuan lifted a sword and slashed towards Imo Shi-san rapidly. How dare you send a level 8 martial artist expert to battle a level 7 martial artist expert from the Yin family? That's despicable. TSK. Just a brat courting death. This time, the Yin family will definitely not let them off. The crowd looked on coldly as Yin Zhongyuan launched his attacks. Although it was shocking that Imo Shi-san had defeated the middle-aged man from the Yin family in an instant, the crowd saw Wang Xian's action of hiding Imo Shi-san's true strength as the reason for his imminent downfall. Despite seeing Yin Zhongyuan making his moves, Wang Xian did not say a word. Instead, he simply smiled and looked on. Those who dare to offend our king shall all die today. Imo Shi-san looked at Yin Zhongyuan. Around him, devilish flames were rising. His fingers turned into a claw as he swung his arm. One could vaguely see faint scales on the hands of Imo Shi-san. Dragon scales. Courting death. Yin Zhongyuan manipulated the long sword in his hand. To his astonishment, he saw Imo Shi-san intending to take the attack directly with his bare hand. Murderous intent filled his face as he slashed down ruthlessly. Bam! However, what happened sent chills down Yin Zhongyuan's spine. Imo Shi-san had grabbed onto the long sword directly with his hand. Moreover, cracks were starting to appear on his long sword. Roar! Imo Shi-san let out a low growl as he attacked heavily with his right hand. Yin Zhongyuan was shocked by the development and immediately raised his arm to defend against the attack. Crack, crack. To his astonishment, he heard the bones of his arms cracking. Bam, bam, bam. Emo Shursan clenched his claws and dealt 5 consecutive punches to Yin Zhongyuan's 4 limbs and elixir field. In less than 10 moves, Yin Zhongyuan was down on the ground. Martial Artist Level 9, the crowd exclaimed, looking on in disbelief. He is definitely a martial artist Level 9 expert. Otherwise, he wouldn't have defeated Yin Zhongyuan so easily. Yin Zhongyuan could be considered as very strong even among martial artist Level 8 experts. Bam! Great! How dare you make a fool of the Yin family? You have completely angered me. When Yin Gukong saw Yin Zhongyuan crippled by Emo Shursan, the dragonhead walking stick in his hand smashed heavily on the floor. At the same time, a strong and dense aura started emitting from his body. He stared at Wang Xian with murderous intent. I have made my decision. You won't be stepping out of the Yin family's gate tonight. Yin Feng lifted his belt sword and pointed at Wang Xian. His belt sword was like an agile snake and had a dazzling glow. Let me destroy him. Yin Gyuli, who was beside Yin Gukong, walked over slowly with a heavy look. His eyes were fixed on Emo Shursan. I'm really just a level 7 martial artist. Emo Shursan pouted and looked at him with murderous intent. Emo Yuan, martial artist level 9. At this moment, Emo Qinglong's disciple, Emo Yuan, walked forward and passed Wang Xian. He maintained a cold smile while observing his surroundings. Emo Shursan bowed to Emo Yuan before leaving. Emo Yuan nodded in response before looking to Yin Gyuli. Yin Gyuli's expression changed and the crowd was stunned. Everyone's attention was on Emo Yuan. It can't be. Emo Yuan looks so much stronger than Emo Shursan. Emo Shursan claimed to be martial artist level 7, but was able to easily crush martial artist level 8. Now we have Emo Yuan, who looks much stronger and is claiming to be martial artist level 9. How strong is this group of people? The martial artists around looked at Emo Yuan in disbelief. At this moment, they had put away their disdain and chose to take this group of people more seriously. Yin Gukong from the Yin family also squinted his eyes. His palm wrapped around the dragon head walking stick tightly, and he suddenly had a bad premonition. Yin Feng's expression had also turned heavy. He looked at Emo Yuan before looking across at the group of people behind Wang Xian. Playing tricks. Yin Gyuli's expression changed dramatically. He gritted his teeth and jumped towards Emo Yuan. You? Not good enough. Emo Yuan looked nonchalantly at Yin Gyuli, and his face was filled with contempt. Die. Yin Gyuli's palm turned red, emitting dazzling and scorching light as he struck towards Emo Yuan's head. Dragon Claw. Emo Yuan was unmoved. Just as Yin Gyuli's attack was about to hit him, he swung his 5 fingers like a claw towards Yin Gyuli. Arg! Horror and shrieks sounded. Emo Yuan grabbed onto Yin Gyuli's arm easily. His eyes were filled with contempt as he said, You are too weak. Next. Bam! Yin Gyuli was sent flying back and landed heavily in front of Yin Gukong. He was throwing out blood violently. Instant kill. How can this be possible? He can't be a level 9 martial artist. Definitely not. He is at least a half-step to Inborn Realm expert. Half-step to Inborn. Could it be that he is really at the half-step to Inborn Realm? Who is that juvenile? How is he able to bring along such powerful people? Shock. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected that juvenile to bring along such horrifying people. What would the Yin family do now? At this moment, the people in the crowd who had chided them to get on the good books of the Yin family previously were turning pale. They would have never expected this group of people to be so powerful. The members of the Yin family turned solemn. Even the arrogant looks on Yin Gukong were gone. Yin Feng had also put aside his arrogance and looked at Wang Xian in disbelief. Hehe, let's continue. Wang Xian said as he looked across the crowd at Emo Yuan. Yes. Emo Yuan nodded his head and turned his attention to Yin Gukong in the middle. Only you are qualified to be my opponent. Yin Gukong's expression turned ghastly and his hand that was holding onto the walking stick started shivering. This is unexpected. Really unexpected. May I ask, where are you guys from? Dragon sect, Imo Yuan said plainly. Dragon sect? I don't think we have any deep grudges between us. If we continue with this fight, you wouldn't come out unscathed. Yin Gukong stared at Imo Yuan as he spoke. Since you have offended our Dragon King, it's only natural to annihilate you. Imo Yuan pouted. As to whether we would come out unscathed, your Yin family isn't qualified to say that. You are really full of nonsense. Imo Yuan spoke, and as he finished his words, the devilish aura around him raged fiercely as he attacked Yin Gukong. Fight! Yin Gukong was shocked. The opponent was too overbearing. Get back! Get back! Battles between half-step to inborn experts could implicate a large area. Seeing the fight, the leader of the Ren family quickly retreated. All the ancient martial arts families also retreated in a hurry as they looked to the fight in horror. They had initially thought that the Yin family would announce the return of the king and dominate over all others. To their surprise, a juvenile brought a group of horrifying experts over that could even match Yin family's half-step to inborn realm expert. Father, that old man is likely to be even stronger than Imo Yuan. Ren Jian and the Ren family were dumbfounded by the fight. When Ren Jian saw the old man behind Wang Xian, he subconsciously recalled the events of that fateful night. He couldn't hold back his thoughts as he spoke to his father. The leader of the Ren family was slightly shocked as he turned his gaze towards the old man in front of the group of 50 people. The old man maintained a faint smile throughout and didn't seem to be concerned about the current battle. Jian, are you sure? The leader of the Ren family was shaking slightly. I'm sure. Ren Jian nodded his head heavily. Inborn expert. Horror crept into the leader of the Ren family. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.